Throw your hands up in the air and say enough's enough. Do you want to learn to code and make some awesome stuff? Learn that anyone can when you're coding with Dan on. Whether you're a pro or this is all brand new, learn the overarching concepts and some fun stuff too. And with Dan as your guide, come along for the ride on. Make a crazy pixel mirror to reflect your face. You can make it jump to light speed into outer space. You can generate a maze that can go on for days. You can make your own terrain and some purple rain. You can make a retro game to see how it's done, and then tweak a piece to make it yours for everyone. Make some fractally trees or Twitter bots if you please. And when the seeds are all sown, you can make them your own. Ride the colors of code, you can follow the road to.
Hello, welcome, and Happy New Year, Happy 2017. It's been a long time since I've done one of these live streams. I feel very, very, very out of practice. I know there have been a lot of new subscribers over the last few weeks, so I welcome you. This is, let's just say this is practice. This is like a rehearsal for doing this more regularly again in 2017. My New Year's resolution is more videos on YouTube, I guess. Also, it's like January 5th already, so I suppose I'm incredibly late to wish everybody a Happy New Year. It's not Happy New Year's, it's New Year's Eve when it's the eve, but now it's just Happy New Year because it's the year. Anyway, I'm just looking to make sure everything is working. If you could let me know in the chat that you can hear me okay. I'm going to attempt to speak a little more quietly, getting over a cold. As you might remember, I had a bunch of colds and I lost my voice a couple times, and it came back and I got better, and then a few days ago I got a cold again, right when I'm about to do a new live stream. But hopefully you can hear me okay. People are saying you're good, it's all okay, that's great. So many people in the chat already. So let me first set the scene for what I'm planning for today. And I would like to do, it's about 2 p.m. Eastern time. I'm in New York City. I'm at the School for Poetic Computation in the West Village. My name is Dan, and I make video tutorials about programming on YouTube, amongst other things that I do in my life. And so what I do is I do live broadcasts where I kind of code things and talk about them live. I try to keep an eye on the chat, although it's a little bit hard to fully watch it during a live stream, but I do keep an eye on it. And then what happens is after the live stream, the full live stream gets archived, and then smaller pieces of it get edited into shorter video tutorials that can re-upload it. So if you feel so inclined, you're like, I don't want to watch this nonsense and the rambling and the making mistakes and the trying to find the right button for the thing, go off and do something else for a while. And the actual video tutorials that come out of today will also get uploaded separately, and you can watch them later. I hope to be doing these live streams weekly this year, at least through the springtime. This month might be a little bit slower. I'm setting up a different recording studio with some different equipment. I mean, it's largely going to look exactly the same to you, but it'll hopefully make things a little bit easier for me and be able to do content a bit more efficiently and more often. While getting that set up, I might lose a week or two where I don't get to live stream. I'm looking at the chat. By the way, the reason why I look at this, I'm often looking over here, is I have a monitor. I really should just pick this up. Here, look. Can you see this? This is a monitor. You can see it's me looking at myself. And then over to the side on that monitor is a chat. So this is not where I secretly look at all of my code that I'm just going to type, as it has been theorized on the internet. I'm also not a CGI version of myself, though I hope that someday in the future, when aliens are controlling my thoughts as my brain is let in some jar somewhere, that the CGI version of me, perhaps in a dinosaur costume or something, is teaching people about programming the computer. Okay, so I'm just going to check here. I have a chat. I'm checking here. I have two chats going on. I have the YouTube live chat, and there's a Slack channel for patrons of my YouTube channel, which you are welcome to support. If you go to codingrainbow.com, there is links to subscribe and the Patreon and all that sort of stuff if you're interested. Blah, 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 blah. So let me talk about briefly my plan for the next few months, as well as my plan for today. So as I just saw in the chat, neural networks, please, neural networks, please, neural networks. So first of all, if you're interested in neural networks and machine learning, there are a lot of great videos on YouTube. I'll mention Surajology's channel. We're doing a collaboration. I'm not sure. I have to check and see if his part of the collaboration is finished yet. But we worked on an asteroids video game that he trained a machine learning bot to play. So that is coming. Because the course that I'm teaching at, oh, look, I'm all school spirit today. So I'm wearing and this is actually an NYU Shanghai sweatshirt, but wearing my NYU sweatshirt with my processing t-shirt. But so I teach at New York University, teach School of the Arts at a program called ITP, and my zipper is stuck. Oh, and there's like some schmutz here. Very messy. Hopefully you can't see that over the, because I'm like, the soft focus filter that I'm using to make myself look more beautiful. You can't notice these spots of food that are on my clothing. I have small children, so it's not just my food. Okay, I was saying something though. Okay, so I'm teaching a course called The Nature of Code. Incidentally, this course, I'm teaching it at ITP, but incidentally, you can also go to there is a online learning platform called Kitten, and this course is actually also available as an online course with a lot of videos associated with it. Anyway, so what this course is about, if I go to natureofcode.com and I go to read now, this is essentially a book that I've written at some point. I think I did. It has my name on it, so supposedly. And these are the chapters of the book. And the course is really about saying, in the broadest sense, what kinds of things exist in our natural physical world that might inspire us to create art or projects that express ourselves or communicate things in different and new ways in software. So what does it mean to write code that models systems that are found in the natural world? And so physics simulation, using physics engines, building a physics engine, steering behaviors and swarming and flocking, and thinking about like autonomous agents, ants, colonies, that kind of thing. Different type of generative systems, fractal, recursion, tree-like growth and L system patterns. Lots of things that I've covered many times in several different videos on this channel. But you'll notice the last two chapters here, 9 and 10, say the evolution of code, which I don't know why I called it that. But evolutionary algorithms, and chapter 10, neural networks. This book was written, I think it came out in 2012, but there's been an explosion. Artificial intelligence and machine learning is not such a new concept. These ideas have been around for many years. Researchers have done lots of amazing work with different algorithms and different applications of those algorithms. But there has been an explosion in the last couple years of new research in machine learning, new applications, and I would like to take a look at those topics over the course of this spring. As I teach the course at NYU, I will come here once a week and do videos in similar topics. Some things I want to look at that have been highly requested is like pathfinding algorithms, using a genetic algorithm to solve the traveling salesperson problem, which I never finished. Looking at these like A-star pathfinding algorithms, looking at different classifications algorithm, clustering, decision trees. These are things I hope to make videos about. And then of course, eventually looking at modeling this sort of artificial neural network, this idea of the brain and what types of like libraries and open source frameworks can be used to sort of harness new powers and possibilities with that. So, yeah, interesting. Alka Design writes, I would love to see a chat bot like using TMI.js and Node.js for Twitch chat. Oh yeah, interesting. Yeah, so bot stuff, more bot stuff, chat bot, that kind of thing. So I've got like way too long of a list of things I'd like to do in my head, and I hope to get to all those things and soon. Now, there is one thing that it's already 2:15. Oh, I gotta hurry up here. There is one thing that I didn't get to. So in the fall, I created videos for this course, Programming from A to Z, and I'll have a site and hopefully some stuff as the spring course starts to go. But, and so the one thing I never got to was this last topic, Chrome extensions, mostly because whenever I asked people, I told people, what are you interested in? This, or Chrome extensions. Chrome extensions was never picked. So, but I do hope to catch up on that and kind of put a bow, so to speak, on the this A to Z programming course. Okay. So Alvaro writes, I just finished my first week making a living as a freelance programmer. That is amazing. I got to say that's thanks to you. That is thrilling and wonderful to hear. I super appreciate it. So now, so all that aside, that's a little bit of sort of framing for what's going to happen over the course of the spring as I hopefully am here making more videos. Now, what's going to happen today? So first of all, I have a little something to check at 3 p.m. So around 5 of or 10 of 3, I'm going to put this on pause, whether I turn the stream off and then turn it back on or just like put up some like abstract art on the screen and let it run. I'm going to put things on pause about a half an hour, 40 minutes from now. The thing that I have to check is something that has to do with what I'm going to come back and do a coding challenge about. But I don't want to say about what that is just yet because I'm going to wait to see if everything checks out that I need to have ready to go at 3. So while I have about a half an hour, before I get to that, I would like to do a coding challenge. And I would like to do it in processing. Somebody in the chat, by the way, at a certain point I saw there was a comment like, why does he, referring to me, use processing? Why not a real programming language? Well, I hate to break it to you, internet. Processing is a real programming language. In fact, the code that I write in processing is Java code. Processing does wrap some of the sort of like Java-y stuff for you to simplify what you have to write and provides an entire library of drawing functionality. But it is a fully functional development environment where you write Java code and anything that's possible in Java is possible in processing. And if you learn processing, you've learned a real programming language. So I just thought it's worth mentioning that. So I'm going to do, I'm going to do processing for right now. I'm going to do 2. I'm going to do 1 in processing and 1 in P5. I'm not going to have time for both of these before 3, but that's fine. They're going to be Happy New Year messages. And I'm going to do them in a very simplistic way that has not a particularly like creative angle or design eye, but I'm going to show you some tricks that you can use in making creative coding stuff, and then hopefully you'll take this and make something more creative. And I'm way too late. You're going to be like, and now here's my Happy New Year's message. Happy New Year, Happy New Year, not Happy New Year's, Happy New Year. Here's my Happy New Year message. A month late or whatever, but whatever. You can replace the text with something else. Okay, what do I want to do? So let me just mention where this is coming from. When I was on hiatus for a little bit, I felt guilty for not recording any videos or being around for a while. So I decided that to celebrate the holiday of Hanukkah, whether that's a real holiday or not, I mean, yeah, it's important. It's a holiday. It's a holiday. It's just, Passover. That's like a holiday. But anyway, to celebrate Hanukkah, I thought I would dress up as Hanukkah Harry. Do you like my costume? And deliver socks and underwear to all of the children of the world. But I decided to make a bunch of extra coding examples. And so I made one for each night, 8 nights of Hanukkah. Some of these ideas came from a talk that I saw by Zach Lieberman. Here's an example of finding the circumcircle, which is any circle that includes 3 points. I did some mapping stuff with earthquake data, so I really want to do this as a tutorial and challenge. I made a little dancing stick figure with the physics. I did another little geometry algorithm to find the minimum enclosing circle of a set of points. I made a little animal guessing game, which I will come back to. I was experimenting with classification algorithms. This is a classic one called K nearest neighbor. This is what I'm going to look at today, with this circle packing in letter forms, and then also path following with letter forms, which I might like to look at as well today. So Hanukkah for sure is a holiday. I know it's a holiday. Okay, so thank you for the nice wishes that people are saying in the chat. People are saying they like my style and energy. I feel like I'm low energy today, but hopefully low energy for me is like slightly higher than normal energy. Okay, so here we go. So let's get started. Let's get started. So what I want to do first, let's get started. I have my bell. I forgot about my bell. I always have, of course, my this dot song. Little sound clips. So what I want to do first is open up processing. Do I have the newest version? The newest version of processing is 3.2.3, which I do have here. I want to see that that I could. By the way, my hands are so cold. My typing is going to be slow. It's funny because all summer I was recording in this room, and if any of you watched any of those videos, you might have noticed how I kept complaining how hot it was, hot lights, and now it's just very cold. It's cold in New York. I don't like this weather. It's cold in this room, so I got to warm up my hands to type. It's 2:20. I'm keeping an eye on the time. So this font size looks good, I think. And you can let me know in the chat if it's too small or too big. And I'm going to do a circle packing desktop. I'll just put it on the desktop. Circle packing animated. Okay, so circle packing is one of those algorithms that is used by a lot of artists. It's kind of one of those classic algorithms. It's almost one of those kind of cliche, computational cliche algorithms, almost off limits, as some might say, in terms of like, can you do something new and creative with it? But in terms of experimenting with ideas and learning about programming, I think it's a great one to look at. There are lots of highly sophisticated algorithms for circle packing. There are simple ones. And I did a video, random points, Shiftman, YouTube, overlapping, like looking for, I did this video at one point, 9.5, random circles with no overlap. And if I go to this video for a second.
Website. Why not do it yourself?
If I click on the ad, I think I make like
create
a
your
few
own
cents or
professional
something, but I
website.
won't do that. Here's me in Inception, Dan. So I'm going to go and find, so somewhere in here, so I could probably just go and, I could probably go and grab this code and build off of it. But I want to do a similar thing, but in a different way. I want to watch the circle packing system animate and grow, and I want to have more control over what types of patterns, whether it fills a certain space or follows a certain path. So that's what I'm going to look at in this particular video. And I'm going to do this in processing, and I'm going to, I need a opening screen. Oh, and there's also a Julian Leonard, I believe, has a really nice circle packing tutorial somewhere. I can't seem to find, this must be it, Dots to Art. So this is a really great circle packing tutorial that I would recommend you take a look at, and it takes a sophisticated approach to, and I'm not going to use anything from this tutorial in what I make, but I should look at it after and kind of compare and contrast. Okay, so I am just cycling my cameras. Oops. And can someone tell me, whoa, they got kind of like, oh dear. Why does this happen? Just give me 1 second. Let me fix the, I just need to fix the whiteboard screen. This is annoying. You have to, let me put on some music for you. As always, I always forget the this dot, this dot, this dot, this dot. I'm going to do this dot, this dot. I'm going to do this dot, this dot, this dot. I'm going to do this dot, this dot. I'm going to do dot, this dot, this dot, this dot, this dot song. This dot, this dot, this dot. Never forget this dot. How does this screen, this is a whiteboard. How does this look over here? I've been having lots of issues with the whiteboard camera and the focus. Never forget this dot. this dot, this dot, this dot. I'm going to do this dot, this dot. I'm going to do this dot, this dot, this dot. I'm going to do this dot,
Already
this
had.
dot. I'm going to do dot, this dot, this dot, this dot. I'm going to do this
I know
dot,
what
this
that
dot.
is.
I'm going
Rosy
to do
cheeks.
this dot, this dot, this dot.
Smile.
I'm gonna
Okay.
do this
How does this look, okay?
This dot, this dot.
Okay.
This dot, this dot. All right. It's 2:25. I'm the worst. Whiteboard looks good. Okay, great. Let's make this happen. This is going to be animated circle packing coding challenge. Okay. And here we go. I'm not necessarily going to use the whiteboard, but I just want to have it ready. Okay. Warming up my hands some more. Whoa, 700 people watching. That's amazing. Okay. My hands are really cold. This isn't helping. Okay, I think I can do this now. Okay, ready? Hello and welcome to a coding challenge. In today's coding challenge, I am going to do something related to a previous coding challenge. Oh, I've got the wrong screen behind me. I'm going to start this again. Let's just do a generic Google image search. Oh, no. Let's keep Marius Watts in there. Okay. All right. Sorry, I just wanted to have like a nice... internet will just not comply with me. All right, fine. Should be interesting. I like this better. Okay, it's fine. This is good. Okay, here we go again. Hello, welcome to a coding challenge. My name is Dan. I don't know why I'm introducing myself at the beginning of this one because, anyway, but I can because I just did. This is a coding challenge. I am going to build off of, in some ways, a coding challenge that I did previously. And I want to look at animated circle packing. And I want to look at animated circle packing in the context of forming letter forms. Can I do all this in a coding challenge? I think that I can. I'm going to use processing, which is a programming environment built on top of Java. I will also hopefully release a JavaScript version of this, so you can check this description for the source code. After I make this, I'll release the code in both processing Java and also JavaScript using a P5.js library. So circle packing is one of these almost computational cliche algorithms in a way. There's some images here from an artist named Marius Watts who does lots of beautiful and interesting, engaging computational work and has worked with circle packing. And the idea of circle packing is fit a lot of circles, as many as you can, of varying sizes in a small space or a large space, and don't have them overlap. So in order to do this, the first thing that I want to do is I actually want to create a circle class. So I'm going to say class circle. And what does every circle have in my world? Every circle has an X and a Y, storing values for its center. And every circle has a radius, the distance between its center and the edge. And then I'm going to need some other stuff that I just happened, but I'm going to, for now, I'm just going to put that there. So when I make a class, which is a template for making objects, I need to write a constructor function. And my constructor function will take 3 arguments because whenever, and actually just 2 arguments. Let's just give it an X and a Y. Because whenever I create a circle, I want to say create a circle at this at a particular location. And then X gets that particular value and Y gets that particular value. Now I'm doing something kind of goofy here, which is that the arguments of the constructor, I'm using the same variable name as the properties of the object itself, but just with the underscore afterwards. And what that does, it allows me to sort of differentiate these temporary constructor arguments to fill the actual variables of the object. But it's kind of a confusing convention, but it's one that I'm kind of used to, so I'm going to use that here. So what this means is now I can say something like circle C, and I can say in processing, I'm going to say size, let's just say 640, 360, and in draw, I'm going to say background 0, and then I'm going to say in setup, C equals a new circle, 200, 200, and I can run this program, and ta-da! I have a circle. Where is it? I don't see it, because what do I want to do? I want to write some functionality in the circle object itself. I'm going to call it show. And then I'm going to use the ellipse function, which is a function processing that draws a ellipse, and an ellipse with a width and height, the diameter across the horizontal and vertical axes of the same amount is a circle. And what should that diameter be? It's the radius times 2. So now, if I said something like c.display, I didn't call it display. I called it show. Where's that circle? I don't know why I don't see that circle. Interesting problem here. Why? Well, r has, what's the value of r? The value of r is 0. So let's give the value of r 50 right now. And let's also be a little more thoughtful here and say stroke 255 and no fill. So now I see, there's my circle. Now, I don't know how well you can see this. I can zoom in and you can see it. But I'm going to just increase the thickness of the line just because, I don't know, in terms of broadcasting this on YouTube and all that sort of stuff. So you can see, there's the nice, beautiful, lovely circle. Oh, I love that circle. That circle is my friend. Okay, I got to move on. Okay, so what do I want to do now? What I want to do now is not just have one circle. I need a system where I'm going to keep track of many circles. And a way I can do that in Java is using something called an array list. Now, this syntax is a little bit goofy. An array list is an object that keeps a list of objects. And I can say in advance I want a list of objects of type circle. And that's what I'm doing right here, and that list is called circles. So now instead of having a single variable, I can say circles.push new circle. And then I can say for every, and this is a nice little enhanced loop that you can write in Java these days with array lists. You can say I'm standing in front of this, for every circle C in the array list circles, call the show function on those circles C. So for every circle, call show. Okay, here we go. Oh, it's not push. It's not push at all. This is me. I'm the kind of person who programs in too many languages these days. It's add. Push would be a function in JavaScript to push something into an array. In Java, using array list, the function is add. So now if I do this, we can see, what happened? I got a null pointer exception. See that null pointer exception? That's the sound that processing should play whenever you get a null pointer exception. I forgot to actually create the array list. So I said, I want to have an array list, but it's actually just null at this point. So I need to actually take an additional step and say circles equals a new. It seems rather redundant, but this is the world of Java. Many people don't like Java, but you know what? Java is also my friend, and I like Java. Okay, so new array list. If that means there's something wrong with me, then so be it. Okay, so there you can see now I have this one circle. Oh boy, what am I, like 5 minutes into this video and all I have is a circle on the screen? I hope you're still with me because this will get more interesting. Okay, so now I want to do a few different things. One thing I want to do is I want to have a function in the circle called grow. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say r equals r plus 1. So I want the radius to increase by 1 pixel whenever I call the grow function. And I'm going to say now, every circle, c.grow. You can see that circle is growing. Now the other thing I want to do is I want to stop the circle. I want to have a way of stopping the circle from growing. So one thing I should do is I'm going to write a function called edges to see, has the circle touched an edge of the window? And actually, if it has, I should, maybe I should return a Boolean true or false. I could do this in a bunch of different ways, but let's start with this. So how do I know if a circle, and let me just come over to the whiteboard here. Oh, look, there's a happy party time. So, right, if this is the window, and this is a circle, if the x plus the radius is greater than the width of the window, or if x minus the radius is less than 0, then it's kind of hit that edge. So let's come back and add that. If, what did I say, x plus r is greater than width, or x minus r is less than 0, or y plus r is greater than height, or y minus r is less than 0. That should do it. And actually, I could just say return that. This is one of these shorthand things that I never use, and people always complain in the comments, like, you could have just returned the result of that. So I'm returning the result of this or that or this or that. So if any of those are true, I'm going to return true. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say, I'm also going to add a variable. I'm going to call it growing. And I'm going to set it equal to false. No, true. And I'm going to say, if growing, increase the radius by 1. OK, this is good. This is good. This is good. Now, I'm going to write a function. There's a bunch of different ways I could do this, but let's do it actually out here. I don't know if I love this, but I'm going to say if c.edges, c.growing equals false. So this should stop. And what did I? Oh, I'm missing a semicolon here because I have this like ridiculously long line of code that is very unwieldy to type, but it's come back now. This should now grow the circle until it reaches the edge. And you can see, why did it stop? It touched the bottom edge down here. So this is good. I now have a circle that can grow and a circle that can stop growing. And what I want to do is I want to add new circles every time through draw. And I want to give it a random location. So I'm going to create a new circle at a random location. And I want the circles to all start not with a radius of 50, but a radius of 1. And watch what happens now. So I have all these circles. Ooh, that's kind of actually just nice on its own. They're all growing, and they're stopping as they reach the edge. But let's watch that again. Let me slow down the frame rate. What I want to see happen is I want all these circles to grow, but I also want them to stop growing if they touch another circle. And I also don't want to be able to create a circle inside of another circle, because I want to have these circles kind of grow to fill as much space as possible. OK, so how do I do this? So the first thing that I need to do is, I don't know. What is the first thing that I need to do? Do you know what I want to do? I'm going to create a function called newCircle. Because I have a feeling this might get a little bit complicated. So what I'm going to try to do now here is what? I'm going to create a random xy. Then what I want to do is say for every circle in all the circles, what I want to do is determine, when I pick this xy, is it a point that's outside of circles? Right? I don't want to, by accident, these are my circles. If I pick that point, it's no good. If I pick this point, we're in good shape. So what I need to do is I need to check. What are we time-wise? OK. I need to say, what is the distance between this xy and that circle's xy? If the distance is less than that circle's radius, then it is inside the circle. So let's assume that this is a valid circle. If I look at all the existing circles and it's inside one of them, it's no longer a valid circle, and I can also be done with that loop. Because if it's not valid, I can just check one of them. Now, what I want to do is, if it's valid, I want to add it to the array list. So I only want to add circles that are valid. And you can see now if I run this again, everything's still overlapping, but technically speaking, it's not. You can see it's not adding any circles anymore until it finds a spot that's not inside another circle. Ooh, I like this. But actually, I think what might make more sense here is to return, return a new circle. Otherwise, return null. So, and then this is going to be a function that returns a circle. So what I want to do is I want to say, like, this function is going to attempt to find a new circle. And if it does, here it is. If I can't find one, it's null. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to say circle C equals new circle. if C is not equal to null, circles add C. So now I have, oh, and you know what? I'm going to just call this circle. I'll call it new circle. Ooh, that's a little bit awkward that I have new circle in the new circle function. Let's just call it new C. It works, but when we translate this to Java. OK, so this is working. This is exactly what I just had. It's trying to make these circles. Now, I need to add the part where if it touches any other circle, it also stops growing. So for every circle, if it's touching an edge, it stops growing. So first of all, I only want to do this if the circle is growing. If the circle is growing, check first if it's touching an edge. Otherwise, now I got to look at all the other circles again. And I can say Boolean overlapping. I can assume that it's not overlapping another circle. I can assume that it's not overlapping another circle. Now what I can do is I can say the distance between this particular current circle and the other circle, I need that distance. If that distance is less than what? If that distance is less than this circle's radius plus the other, my scroll went out of control, plus the other circle's radius, then overlapping is true. Why is that? Come over here with me, please. Because here's a circle, here's one radius, here's another radius, here's the distance between them. You can see that if the distance is longer than the sum of the two radii, then they're not overlapping. If that distance is shorter than adding the two radii together, they are overlapping. So now here, what I want to do is say, actually, all I have to do, I already have this C. Oh, I'm in the wrong place. Maybe, Mathieu, you can edit that. So now, all I have to do is, I actually don't need this overlapping variable I just realized, because the whole point of this is I can say, if it's overlapping anything, tell it to stop growing and break. So this is now my algorithm, right? If a circle is growing, there are two reasons why I might stop it from growing. One is it might be touching the edge. Otherwise, it might be overlapping with another circle. So if either one, it should stop. So now, let's run this and see what we get. Seems to me that these circles aren't growing. What did I, oh my goodness. I like to ring the bell when I discover a really ridiculous bug. Look at this. For every circle C, check every other circle called other. Well, guess what? C is going to check every other circle. And you know what C is? It's one of those every other circles. So I need to also make sure, as long as C does not equal other, as long as it's not the same object, then I can do this test. There we go. So now we can see, here we go. I'm just filling this space, and it made some big circles at the beginning. Now it's making some smaller ones because it keeps trying to find more spots where it could possibly fit a circle. And we can let this run, and eventually it's going to do it. Now we could say we could do some stuff to make this a little fancier. But here's the thing. This is a pause point. I'm going to do something more of this in a second because I want these circles to form a letter or a shape. But what I could do here is I could start to think about, well, what are some ways, should I only start the circles where the user clicks the mouse? Should I start the circles along a sine wave pattern? Should I start the circles like, randomly, what type of color, what type of rules should I apply to when and where I start the circles? And you could probably create more geometric kinds of interesting patterns. So I would go with this. Go forth and make your rainbow circle packing magic animated things. What are other ways you could animate the circles? What are things you could do besides just drawing circles? This idea of filling a space. But one thing I do want to do, a couple of things here is, you can see like the overlapping is a little bit awkward. So I think I probably could kind of clean that up by saying like, because the pixel width of those circles is 2, so I could probably, and the other thing is, a -2 I mean. So you can see this is making it a little bit better so that the circles actually kind of like stop and abut each other a little bit. Sort of depends on the size. But so we could refine that, and that also, like, I could probably have the circle grow a little bit slower, and then it gives it a little bit more resolution in terms of how close it gets. But these are smaller points. The point that I want to actually do is, I think that would be useful to add, is I want to, let's say I want to make sure I add 10 new circles every frame. So I'm going to say count equals 0. And while count is less than total, create a new circle. If new circle is not null, then count goes up. And then we're done. So this would guarantee that it's going to like keep trying to find more circles every frame up to 10. The problem with that, and you can see it's filling it much more quickly. The problem with this is it's going to get stuck at some point in an infinite loop, because at some point it's not going to be able to find 10 new spots anymore, because the whole screen's going to be full. So what I think would make sense to do in that case would be to have some sort of like, I'm going to also have a variable called attempts, and I'm going to say attempts plus plus, and if attempts is greater than 1,000, then just let's be done. I can even say like no loop, so I can completely stop the program from running, and I can say print line finished. So this is just sort of like useful to say like, oh, if it took 1,000 tries and couldn't find any spots for the circles, then it should be done. We can kind of zoom in and see what this is doing. It's still finding more spots. At some point, it's going to stop finding spots. I'll let this run for a little bit. OK, so while this is running, I'm pretty sure that I did this correctly, because I'm waiting for it to say finished down here in the console. But while this is running, let's go and let's add one more thing to this. Wow, I guess it's still just finding spots. It's not done. There's just so many spots left. OK, it's really filling it in there. The other thing I could do is I could start the circles with like a little bit of a radius, like not 1, but like 2. Anyway, but OK, all that's neither here nor there. You can tweak the stuff yourself. But I assume it will get to finished at some point. What I want to do right now is I have on my desktop here is I have this image. And one trick that I can do, so there's a couple different ways I could decide. There's a lot of different ways I could decide where to seed the circle points. One way that I could do that is I could say, I'm going to have a source image. I'm going to read the pixels of that source image, and I'm only ever going to be allowed to start circles where there's a white pixel in that source image. And that's what I'm going to do right now to make this 2017 message, replace it with your own message later. OK, so let's see, is it still going? Oh, I stopped it. OK, so let's do this. And I'm going to save this as circle packing animated text. And I'm going to, go to the sketch folder. I'm going to create a folder called data, and I'll put this 2017 PNG in there. What is the size of that image is important. The size of that image is 900 by 400. OK, so let's make the window also 900 by 400. Let's say p image. So I'm going to say image equals load image 2017.png. And then I'm going to just say background, just to make sure that image is there. We can see the image is there now. 2017, I'm drawing circles on top of it. Yay! OK, so now, what do I do here? What I want to do is I need to say image.load pixels. Because what am I going to do? I'm going to read the pixels of that image. Then I'm going to say for int x equals 0, x is less than image.width, x plus plus, for int y equals 0, y is less than image.height, y plus plus. What I want to do here in setup is I want to have a nested loop, a loop that looks at every single pixel. I want to know, is the pixel white or black? So how do I look at the pixel? Well, the pixels, by the way, even though I'm thinking of them as x, y locations, they are just a linear list. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, all the way up to 900 times 400 minus 1. And I have some videos that cover how this sort of pixel stuff works, but I can find the index into that pixel array, the one-dimensional pixel array, by saying the x location plus the y location multiplied by the image's width. You can think about that, makes sense. If the image was 5 pixels wide, it's going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, right? 0, 5, 10. So you can sort of see how that works. It's the row plus, no, it's the column plus what row it is times the width of those columns. OK, so now I'm going to say the color is image.pixels index. And then the brightness, I'm just going to look at the brightness of that color. If the brightness of that color is greater than, I don't know, 1, then I've got a white pixel, right? I could say if it's greater than 254 probably. But in this case, just kind of a really simple test. If it's greater than 1, am I standing in front of my code all this time? Ugh. OK. If it's greater than 1, oh boy, this video, I hope it's not totally ruined. If it's greater than 1, then I found a bright pixel. So what do I need? I want to have an array list of spots. And those spots, I want to have a list of possible spots that the circle packing algorithm can pick from. And each one of those spots is essentially a vector. Processing has a class called pvector that stores an x and a y. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, right before I do this, I'm going to say spots equals a new array list full of pvector objects. And if the brightness is good, spots.add a new pvector at that x and y location. Ta-da! Spots.add a pvector at that x and y location. So now if I run this, I'm just going to say print line spots.size. Oop, y may not have been initialized. Whoops, that should be a 0. So great. So this looks like it worked. It found 77,759 possible spots. So now, what can I do here? Here, instead of creating a random x and a y anywhere in the window, what I want to do is say, I want a random number that is between 0 and the length of that spots array list. So the random function gives me a random number between 0 and the length of the list, and I want to convert that random number into an integer because I want to use that as the index to get me a particular spot out of that array list. And now I can say x is spot.x and y is spot.y. And now if oh, what did I miss? I guess I just need one more closed parentheses. Now if I run this, oh, whoops, I ruined it by drawing the image. So let's stop drawing the image. And we can see there we now have our circle packing algorithm, but it is only picking as original spots that are available in the actual, as part of those white pixels from that source image. So you can see we have this nice circle packing algorithm. It's still finding spots. I think it's because, hold on a sec. Let's be a little bit more. Let's say that it has to be, the valid spot has to be, it doesn't have to just be the distance between it and the center has to be less than the radius plus like a little bit of buffer zone, like 2 pixel buffer zone. So that, I think, will cause it to finish, yes. I was giving it like too much leeway in picking like a 1 pixel spot, and with like, it could be literally on the edge of the circle and it would be valid. Maybe Matthew, you can just edit this part where the camera shuts off. So you can see here, there's lots of ways I can futz with what kind of quality. OK, so maybe that'll be an edit point here, sorry. You can see here there's lots of ways I could futz with like what it's actually going to, like what if I just want one circle each frame that's going to pick circles much less frequently. And so the circles are going to have like a longer time to grow. And again, you could start to think about color here, how you're picking the circles, when you're picking the circles. Not being able to pick the same point twice would probably make a lot of sense. And here we go. Animated circle packing, making letter forms. Now, this is the end of this video. Coding challenge, thank you very much. I hope you make something creative with it. You think of a message, you think of some other type of pattern, you think about color, animation in a different way, share it with me, all that stuff. But I do want to say is, I am using a source image to find the paths of these letters, which is great in the sense that you could use a source image not just to do letters or numbers. You could use a painting and then do circle packing to like fill a space with colors from the painting. There's all sorts of possibilities there. But one thing I do want to look at, and perhaps in a future coding challenge, maybe even the next one, is how to actually compute these paths, how to actually get these paths of letters dynamically in a program. So the user could type in the word hello, and then suddenly you could fill a circle packing space or whatever with that particular word. And I'm going to look at that in JavaScript in the browser because P5 has some nice functionality for that. You can do it in processing also with a library called Geomertive, which I'll try to link in this video's description. But that's something you might look for. OK, so thanks for tuning in to this coding challenge. I'm back. It's 2017. I made a coding challenge. I think things are still OK. People will hopefully watch this. Hope you make something with it. And talk to you soon. Goodbye. All right, everyone. That worked. I'm still here. So it is 2:55, and I have to fulfill my promise to, I'm sort of trying to check. I have to fulfill my promise, which is to go check on something and come back and do some more coding challenges or tutorial stuff with the thing that I'm going to check on. So I'm trying to decide, I think what's probably best is for me to just turn the stream off. And then I'm going to put that I'm returning in 15 minutes. So I'll just set the time of the next live stream for 15 minutes from now. And so everybody can just take a little break. I could leave it on and just like put music on or whatever, but I think, just in terms of like saving the world's bandwidth, I think what I'll do is turn the stream off. But don't worry, I promise I'm coming back. Not that anyone, I don't know if anyone really cares that much. Tracking, doing something with a webcam in the circle packing is a great idea. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the stream off. So this dot before leaving, sure, okay.
As always, I always forget the this dot, this dot, this dot, this dot.
I'm going to just check some things right now with the music on. Maybe I don't actually have to turn the stream off. The thing that I'm going to check could actually happen very quickly.
This dot's on. This dot, this dot, this dot. Never forget to this dot. This dot, this dot, this dot, this dot's on. This dot, this dot, this dot. Never forget to this dot. This dot, this dot, this dot. I'm gonna do this dot, this dot. I'm gonna do this dot, this dot, this dot. I'm gonna do this dot, this dot. I'm gonna do dot, this dot, this dot, this dot. I'm gonna do this dot, this dot. I'm gonna do this dot, this dot, this dot. I'm gonna do this dot, this dot. I'm gonna do this dot, this dot, this dot, this dot's on. This dot, this dot, this dot. Never forget this dot. This dot, this dot, this dot. Never forget this dot. I'm gonna do the this dot, this dot, this dot, this dot, the this dot song. Never forget the this dot. Somebody compose that song for me.
Okay, let's see. I'm looking at the chat. I can answer a few questions from the chat, perhaps, while I'm waiting. I do need this little short break, though. Could you do a tutorial on circle collisions with physics? Yes, I could. I would like to do that at some point. And that, I think, yes, I do have some tutorials about using an engine called Box2D, which will do a lot of this collision stuff for you, which I tend to, as soon as I get into collision stuff, I tend to use a physics engine rather than kind of program it from scratch. But that is certainly a possibility. Ooh. The song people are asking is, sorry, I am so distracted here. The song, custom text with create graphics. Yes, I absolutely could do that. That was a great suggestion. So by the way, even though I'm loading a pre-existing image here, there's no reason why I couldn't have, instead of loading that image, created a graphics object and drawn to that object, and then have that object be the thing that seeds the circle packing design. Okay. Okay. So people seem distressed by the fact that I was going to turn the live stream off. So let's see if I can find something to just kind of put up on the screen. I was gonna, I don't know, I'm trying to think of like, okay, let's make a little, I have an idea, a ridiculous idea. Okay, let's, I'm losing my mind here, but this is, I don't know what I'm doing. Kittens. Someone mentioned kittens. No, don't, I don't want you to know my location. Kittens. That's a cute kitten. Oh, it's a big kitten. So what am I doing? I've lost my mind. Circle packing kitten. Circle packing kitten. And now we're going to go in, oops, save this image into the circle packing kitten data folder. Kitten JPEG. And then I am going to adjust its size, because that's huge, to be 800 by 800. And then I'm going to go back to here. I'm going to make it 800 by 800. And I'm going to load the kitten image. And I'm going to get rid of this spots thing. This is, I was like, oh, let me make a new program so that something happens while I take a break. And now I realize I'm like doing another coding challenge by accident. This is kind of nuts. Code something to entertain us. Am I here to entertain you? Is that what you think of me? Oh, but I can't stop now. Okay. Okay, there was a thing that I was thinking of. Okay, JPEG, thank you, chat. This should probably be its own coding challenge video, but I'm mentally I'm taking a break here. I'm just doing this. So this needs a color now. Let's color, and let's say no stroke, fill color, and I'm going to give each circle a color. My phone is buzzing. There's like things are happening. Let me entertain you. Okay, so the circle now, when I create the circle, the thing that I need to do is, if valid, I need to say index equals int x plus int y times image dot width, right? This is my index into that array, and then the color is image dot pixels index. So now if I were to do this, oops, this doesn't exist anymore. This now should be back to a random spot. Boy, I hope I saved that last thing I did. Random width, random height. So we should get a little circle packing system that with our kitten, and let's try to get a bunch more circles all at once. And what I'm going to do is, when it finishes, I'm going to say, instead of new loop print line finished, I'm going to say clear the array list. Circles dot clear. Is that a function to empty an array list? Let's see what happens. There's our circle packed kitten. Circle packed kitten, hooray, hooray. Circle packed kitten, hooray, hooray. Circle packed kitten, hooray, hooray. It's circle packed kitten, hooray. Boy, this was much better than anything I did with the other. I should really have done this as like a Because look at the thing that we could do here is we could do all sorts of analysis of the image to decide where to put the circles. Hey, look, and it started over. Perfect. Okay, so everybody, 1, 2, 3, 4, circle pack kitten, hooray, hooray, circle pack. Oh wait, no. Somebody loop that song over and over again to drive you completely insane. And I'm going to put this on full screen. Oh, with a message that says text edit, back in 10 minutes. Enjoy the circle packed kitten, hooray. I guess this circle packed kitten is like an Easter egg for people who watch the live stream. Boy, this beautiful kitten, and now I made this like horribly ugly message. Oops. In all caps, like some sort of insane person. There. I'll try to put on some music if I remember for you guys. We'll get the Pearl and Noise song.
So this is random, this is noise, Perlin noise that is, in the core random
Okay, I'm muting my microphone.
Actual random algorithm
Put a timer on.
Those
Yes,
numbers
that would be
aren't
smart.
related
You guys
at
just
all.
in the chat let people know how much time has
numbers
passed.
between 0 and 10. 9,
I'm putting my microphone on mute,
6,
and
1,
then I'll be back.
9, 4, 8, 9, 2, 1, 3. I picked 9 a lot apparently. But with Perlin noise, I might pick numbers like this. 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5, 4, 5, 6, 7, 5, 6, 7, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 8, 7, 6. Boy, this is like Perlin noise performance art. 9, 2, 7, 6, 1, 9, 4, 8, 9, 2, 1, 3. I picked 9 a lot. 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5, 4. Boy, this is like Perlin noise performance art. 7, 5, 9, 2, 7, 6, 1, 9, 4, 8. But with Perlin noise, I might pick numbers like this. 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5, 4, 5, 6, 7, 5, 6, 7, 5. Perlin noise, that is. Perlin noise. So this is Perlin noise, that is. Perlin noise. This is Perlin noise, that is. Perlin noise. So this is Perlin noise, that is. Perlin noise. Perlin noise, that is. Perlin noise. So this is Perlin noise, that is. Perlin noise. This is Perlin noise, that is. Perlin noise. So this is Perlin noise, that is. Perlin noise.
Perlin noise, that is. Perlin noise. So this is Perlin noise, that is. Perlin noise. This is Perlin noise, that is. Perlin noise. So this is Perlin noise, that is. Perlin noise, that is. Perlin noise. This is Perlin noise, that is. Perlin noise. This is Perlin noise, that is. Perlin noise. So this is Perlin noise, that is. Perlin noise.
Apparently. But with Perlin noise, I might pick numbers like this. 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5, 4, 5, 6, 7, 5, 6, 7, 5, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5, 4, 5, 6, 7, 5, 6, 7, 5. Boy, this is like Perlin noise performance art.
As always, I always forget the this dot, this dot, this dot, this dot. I'm gonna do this dot, this dot. I'm gonna do this dot, this dot, this dot. I'm gonna do this dot, this dot. I'm gonna do dot, this dot, this dot, this dot, this dot song. This dot, this dot, this dot. Never forget the this dot, this dot, this dot, this dot, this dot song. This dot, this dot, this dot. Never forget the this dot, this dot, this dot, this dot. I'm gonna do this dot, this dot. I'm gonna do this dot, this dot, this dot. I'm gonna do this dot, this dot. I'm gonna do dot, this dot, this dot, this dot. I'm gonna do this dot, this dot. I'm gonna do this dot, this dot, this dot. I'm gonna do this dot, this dot. I'm gonna do this dot, this dot, this dot, this dot song. This dot, this dot, this dot. Never forget this dot. This dot, this dot, this dot. Never forget this dot. I'm gonna do the this dot, this dot, this dot, this dot, the this dot song. Never forget the this dot. Somebody compose that song for me. Okay, I think you can hear me now. I just got to refill this water. I think you can hear me the whole time while I'm walking to a thing. I believe it's called a sink, where I can refill this water. And I have the water and I am coming back. Okay, here I am. Was it 12 minutes and 45 seconds? Okay, so I took a little longer than 10 minutes. I don't need this message anymore. Whoops. And I don't need this anymore. So I have something exciting to talk to you about, which is what I was waiting for 3 p.m. I'm going to go to twitter.com/White House. And I want to look at this particular tweet right here. So, as you may be aware, President, currently, still, of the United States, is Barack Obama. Barack Obama, you could consider, I think you could make the argument, I guess this tweet is saying the exact same thing, is the first social media president. In other words, the first president to have a social media account at POTUS. Michelle Obama has @FLOTUS. There is the @White-House Twitter account. There is the @Facebook. That's not a Twitter account. There's the White House Facebook page. There's Vine videos. So, typically what happens in this country of ours is after a president finishes a term, for the first or second term, a library is built, and like 12 years later, the papers are released in the library, and people can come and research and read them. But what the White House has done with this announcement is say, hey, you know what? All this social media data, it's out there, it's public anyway. Why wait 12 years to look at it, to think about it, to interact with it? Here's the data right now. So let's click on this link. And let's read. So this just came out, so I have not looked at this yet. At the end of October, we shared our plans for preserving and passing on the digital history of the Obama administration and invited the American people to come up with creative ways to archive this content and make it both useful and available for years to come. From the very beginning, our mission has been to reach Americans and people around the world on the channels and platforms where they already spend their time. Okay, I'm reading some more. White House social media archives, blah, 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 blah. Call to action. We're excited to share some of the innovative archival projects with you. So there are a bunch of projects already that people are working on with this data. Archive Social, Rhizome, a wonderful digital art organization. That's great to see them here. MIT Media Lab, Giphy, which is Field Train. Oh, wonderful. Field Train is a studio in Portland. Darius Kazemi and Courtney, I'm forgetting the other partner's name. Field Train, let's go look at them. Field Train, let's see. Courtney Stanton, I was right. Courtney Stanton and Darius Kazemi. They're a wonderful studio in Portland, Oregon. They make all sorts of amazing projects. Darius Kazemi is well known for all of the crazy Twitter bots he makes. So it looks like what they are doing here is creating a Twitter bot which will republish the White House tweets over the next 8 years to mark some of the most significant moments of the Obama administration as experienced on Twitter. Follow Relive 44. So in other words, perhaps in real time, those tweets. So this is actually, so I'm looking for like a coding challenge here to work with this data. That we could actually just rebuild that Twitter bot, but it's already being made. Now look at this. Students will be diving into the social media data too. The University of Texas, Austin, students in Dr. Amelia Acker's graduate seminar will be utilizing, utilizing White House and social media data in their projects. And look at this, and NYU's, hey look, I'm wearing my sweatshirt. An NYU's Interactive Telecommunications Program fellows are hosting an Obamathon on January 6th. That's not today, is it? What's the date? Today's the 5th. Okay, good, that's tomorrow. Phew. Otherwise, I'm really in the wrong place. A special hackathon to spawn the creation of new projects like the ones listed above. So tomorrow I'm helping to organize an event at ITP. A bunch of us ITP researchers and students are getting together to look at the data and make projects with the data, critical projects, as well as projects that sort of memorialize the presidency or make tribute to Obama. There's no point of view to the mission, in my view, of what can be done with this data. And certainly, even though this data is about, the thing that I want to say here, I guess that's important, I think, to think about, and as we look at, what I want to do in the next hour or so is like look at the data and see if we can come up with, make a couple quick examples. But something I think that most of you probably watching this are, and certainly me, feeling anxious and concerned for the future, are thinking about or forward thinking. So looking at this data, what happens if we, in addition to looking at this particular social media data set, look at other social media data sets, obviously related to the incoming administration, Donald Trump, and what types of projects and statements or activism can we produce to make our voices heard, from all different points of view and places in the world with data that is public and available. And there's a lot of, in my view, scary stuff that's happening on Twitter these days in terms of world politics. And so what types of questions should we be asking and things should we be talking about and experimenting with? So in some ways, I think looking at this data through that lens is important as well. The White House convened these citizens in the hopes that their creations would inspire people like you to dive into the archives themselves, to build research tools, art projects, and the like. That's why starting today, you can download the White House's Twitter, Facebook, and Vine archives yourself. All the tweets published by President Obama and the First Lady are available as well. We can't wait to see what you make. Okay, where do I find this stuff? Now, if I click on this, so these are the data files. Okay, great. So I'm going to download these in a second. Now, one thing I should note here is that you don't need this to do these kind of projects or think about the questions associated with this data. This data is all public on the internet. You can use the Twitter API, the Facebook API to query and scrape and download this data yourself. Now, the one thing that's wonderful about what's being done here, though, is that if you are not the account holder, it is quite difficult to access all of the data all at once in an easy-to-use format. For example, the Twitter API will not let you, through the API, download tweets past 3,200. So if an account has 50,000 tweets, you can't use the API to just download all the tweets past 3,200. I've tried in the last couple of weeks a lot of different ways to get around this, and I haven't really, without doing some kind of crazy browser scraping stuff, I haven't been able to figure that out. So that's sort of an interesting question here. People are making some amusing and interesting comments in the chat. So let's see, what can we do here? Let's first download and look at the data. So I'm going to click on all these. The Facebook data, from what I've looked at, I have it already downloaded, is huge because it includes all photos. So let's just see. Okay, that downloaded. I like how now my download bar is White House 1117.116 and kitten.jpg. Okay, now I'm going to download the Facebook data. Ooh, this is taking me to Dropbox. Okay, all right. So this data is 4.39 gigabytes. I actually already have this downloaded. So maybe I will grab it separately. I'm going to get the Vine archives. That could be an interesting thing to work with. Oh, you're seriously going to make me log in? Okay, you know what? I have this data already. So I'm just going to go and grab it where I downloaded it already. Just bear with me for a second here. I have to think about where to best find it. It's in Daniel. It's in a different user account than when I'm logged in. Daniel Schiffman, Google Drive, which I don't have access to. Oh, Dropbox. It should be there. You can see all the names of all my folders. Ugh. Oh, I hate when this stuff comes up and it's not there anymore because I didn't. Failure. Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Coding with me, Daniel Schiffman. Hopefully the White House isn't watching this right now. Could you please go back to the circle expansion? No, I'm doing this today. This is an exciting moment in time in our history to look at some data that was just released. So hold on, let me keep. Maybe what I'm actually not going to look at the Facebook data today is what I'll just do. Let's just look at the Twitter data. That downloads really easily. I'll come back to the Facebook data another time. Okay, so let's look at this data. It is now in my. I'm going to move this all to the desktop. And interestingly enough, you can sort of see just in the file size the frequency of the tweets. So even just looking at these zip files and the file size, we can see that the POTUS data set has the least amount of tweets in it. Everyone just tell them there's no need to log in. Oh, there wasn't a need to log in? It just was like, it just wanted me to and I didn't look closely. Okay, let's try this one more time. Oh yeah, why didn't it? I don't know why. Oh, just no thanks, continue to download. Thank you. Well, look at this super fast connection. I'm just going to download the Facebook one too. Because with my rambling talking, no thanks, continue to download. Thank you in the chat, whoever whoever mentioned that. Okay. Sorry, I'm just looking here. Okay, so let's see how that download is going. 8 minutes left. Okay, so we'll have it hopefully soon. Okay, so let's take a look at this data. And let's unzip one of these files. And let's see what's in there. So interestingly, this, by the way, is the equivalent of what happens if you log into your own Twitter account, go to your settings and whatever, and say, download my personal data. So you can see here that there's a couple things. One is this is the file I think that matters the most to us. This CSV, which is a comma-separated values file, essentially a spreadsheet of all the tweets. And but this is something we could use right now just to kind of like look at the. So you can see this is what Twitter gives to you. This is all running off of. I'm not connected to the internet. All this data is local. I can browse kind of and see a little graph here of like this is November, October, the frequency of tweets. I can see all the tweets. I don't know if it has. It doesn't seem to have necessarily like as part of this. This visual is this sort of looking at the HTML page doesn't seem to have like likes or retweets or that type of thing, but there. So, but the key thing that we really want to look at is this CSV file. So a couple of ways I'm going to open it. One is I'm just going to open it in Sublime Text, which is just a plain old text editor. My old Agario coding challenge has popped up. Let's close all these. And we can see here this is a CSV with all of the tweets. And we can, this is actually the raw data. So let's see if there's another way we could look at it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say open with, I'm going to use LibreOffice, which is an open source, Office suite that has a spreadsheet piece to it. So let me open that and see what happens. Ooh. And if I go to desktop, and look at these, and hit open, failure. Oh, LibreOffice that can't figure out how to parse this. This is comma separated, and quoted field, no. What, I must have hit the wrong, no. Unicode 8, there we go. So interestingly enough, text files have a format. What sort of is that text file format? And for whatever reason, LibreOffice had it on UTF-16. So I changed it to UTF-8. And Simon in the chat is telling me that probably in the past. And so now I can see the data is there. So I'm going to open. And now we can look at this spreadsheet to sort of see what's actually there in the data. So we can say, this is, by the way, crucial with working with the Twitter API. Every tweet has a unique ID. This number is unique to that particular tweet and that tweet's only. So that if tweets are replies to each other, or you want to retweet a tweet or reference it in some programmatic way using the Twitter API, this ID number is crucial. There is a timestamp, which is good to see. These are all the times that the tweet was tweeted. I'm going to be making all sorts of weird uses of the word tweet and Twitter probably in this live stream. There is the source. So this is interesting. Like, for example, we can see here was the tweets, and this is POTUS's account. So the POTUS account, as I understand it, are tweets from Barack Obama himself. There was a lot of interesting work came out of examining the device that sent tweets to Donald Trump's account during the election process, and it was quite obvious whether it was him tweeting or someone on his staff, not just from the sort of tone of the tweet, but by seeing the device. So we can see here tweets are sent from the iPad, the web client, and that sort of thing. We have the actual, what looks like the actual text of the tweet. Sorry, I'm kind of awkwardly scrolling through this. We have if it was a retweet or if there are URLs. Doesn't seem to have a lot of other metadata like how many likes or that type of thing, but presumably if we have access to the Twitter API, which we do, and now we have a list of all the tweet IDs, we could certainly always query the API itself and ask for, like, if I wanted to figure out which was the most liked tweet or most retweeted tweet or do a graph of those values, I could augment this data by doing that. Okay, so this is interesting to look at. Now, I'm trying to think of what might be a useful demonstration of working with this data. And I'm thinking about it. Because I had some good ideas yesterday, and now I've forgotten what they are. Okay, so let's look at some of the other data that's downloaded. For example, let's look at downloads. Let's look at okay, so the Facebook data is still downloading, but it's almost in. Let's look at the Vine data. This could be interesting to play with. I'm almost more inclined to do something with this data because of the sort of visual nature of it. Word counting could be something we could do, certainly a word cloud. Okay, so look at this. This is the video source for every Vine video posted on, I assume, the White House's Vine account. So this was probably the oldest one, and this is probably the newest one.
How do we reignite that spirit of innovation to meet our biggest challenges?
And it looks like this comes with, oops, sorry. If I go back to the Finder, it looks like this comes with an HTML page as well. So again, when you download your Vine data, it gives you this nicely formatted page.
You get a FAFSA, you get a FAFSA. Everybody gets a FAFSA.
And so we can see here, we can kind of like look through and see, and now, so clearly there's metadata here in that there's a description, a date, a number of likes, retweets, plays, that type of thing. So make a word cloud with the size of the text. I think that is, I think that's actually a good suggestion. What I'm looking to do, by the way, today is what are the kinds of really simple, basic examples that I could demonstrate to people who might be interested in working with this data with a particular idea or point of view. So you, the person watching, has an idea or point of view, whether you want to make something about the incoming administration, a project around that, using data from the last 8 years, whether you want to make something to honor the last 8 years, whether you want to make something that's critical about a certain policy or from the last 8 years, whether you want to just make some kind of interesting visual art project. We could make a mosaic. I could get all the photos. We could make a photo mosaic of Obama with all the Facebook photos. That's sort of a crazy thing to try. So, so what I want to do is like very simple examples with no point of view to facilitate and allow other artists and thinkers and people to do research, study, art projects, that kind of thing. Oh, Obama is talking to me.
Go Team USA. Show the world what we're made of.
Yes, go Team USA. I agree.
Show the world what we're made of.
Fourscore and anyway. No, okay. All right. So yeah. Okay. So I just wanted to see. I wanted the Facebook data to come in so I could start looking at that. I've got 30 seconds left. Markov chain with vines. That's kind of interesting. Circle Obama while you're thinking, please. Oh, let's use the video. Oh, great idea. Great idea. Well, let's try using the video with the circle packing. Okay, so while I'm thinking, but I can't do that while I'm thinking. Are you looking up circle image of Obama? Okay, how do you download these archives? So people are joining a little late, I guess. And what I will say again is that here is the tweet that just 30 minutes ago came from the White House about preserving and archiving the social media presidency, the first social media presidency. I'll click on this link again. This is the full press release and statement. Tomorrow at ITP, I'm helping to host and organize a hackathon for ITP students. And also there's another program at NYU that's involved called IDM. And there are a lot of other projects and initiatives that are listed here. And the data, it's a little buried here, but you can find it now. The data is all right here. So if you click here, you'll get the Twitter data, the Facebook data, the Vine data. These are for the White House's official account, which are social media posts that are written by White House staff. I mean, I'm not an official representative of anything here. I'm just giving you for the way that I understand it. These accounts, the POTUS Twitter account and the FLOTUS Twitter account, these are tweets that are written by Obama himself and the First Lady herself. So that's all the data that they're making available. Now, beyond this data, there's lots of other data in the world that you could scrape and get access to. Ross Goodwin, who's an ITP alum, we have a GitHub repository that I will point you towards right now. Actually, we should go, maybe I'm going to go and grab some of these examples right there. GitHub ITP NYU /Obamathon. Oh, this is not plugged in. Hold on. No wonder this keeps going off. So if I go here, we've started, I actually did a bunch of scraping already in the last couple weeks. And I mentioned Ross Goodwin also added some data sources. This is a JSON file with every single one of Obama's weekly addresses. This is a JSON file with every presidential proclamation. This was me trying to make a Twitter JSON file of all of the tweets, that sort of thing. So, and then there are some examples here, which maybe I'll grab one of these. So let's look at some of these examples. So let me clone this repo, and then we'll make some new examples. So for those of you who haven't used GitHub before, I encourage you to check out my GitHub tutorials. But what I'm doing right now is I'm using terminal commands to download a whole set of files from a repository of basically a project folder of files that are hosted on the GitHub website. And now I have my local copy of those files. If I work with them, I can always post those changes back up there. And we can look here. And if I go into that folder now, for example, here is a really simple example that I made. I'm going to do in processing. I'm going to open this one, tweets by device. And I'm going to go and grab those data files just to show you a bit about some things that are possible. I'm going to grab those data files, POTUS, FLOTUS. So I need this one to be called POTUS tweets. And I need this one to be called FLOTUS tweets. Oops, I have an extra S there. Copy, put that in there. Oops. So now if I run this, we should see if this works. Oh, and there's, oh, whoops. I forgot. Why did I put that in there? Ah, okay, great. Hi, now I remember. So here's the thing. Something good to talk about here. So actually, this isn't working. So why isn't this working? So one of the reasons why this isn't working is CSV files actually have a variety of formats. And I don't know if there might actually be a bug in processing, but there's also like a slightly weird way this particular CS file is formatted. And so, this is the case almost with any kind of data project. There's often a step that you need to do before you actually program with the data, which is clean the data or modify the format a little way. So let's do that right now. Because working with this particular data in processing, I had an issue with it. And I'm going to open both of these up in, actually, let me do this. I'm going to open both of these up in Sublime Text. OK, so let's see here. One of the issues is that there's a few different issues, but let me show it to you here and here. Oh my goodness, everything is gone. OK, I'm losing my mind. OK, so notice why are there double quotes here? And why are there single quotes here? So the way this particular CSV file is organized is that every chunk of data in every row is enclosed in quotes. The reason why this is what if the data itself has a comma in it? If the data itself has a comma in it, you can't just split by comma, but the comma, you can split by any commas that are outside of the quotes. So that's how a CSV file can be formatted where the data itself might have commas. Now, what if the data then has a quote in it? Then two quotes are used as a way of escaping that quote. And so one thing that's happening is this particular CSV file also has line breaks in it. And line breaks are fine, but somehow I can't figure out where the bug is. I was looking at this yesterday, but the combination of these double quotes and the line breaks was making processing's load table function breaking when loading this particular CSV file. So I need to dig into that more and see if it's unclear to me whether there's an error in the CSV file format or if there's some sort of bug in processing's code. But one way that we can fix this is actually this data for the devices. I actually don't really need this like link stuff because when I see that the data is an iPhone, I don't care that I need to link to twitter.com/download iPhone. So what I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to use a regular expression, and I'm going to search for ahref equals .star all the way until slash, then .star question mark all the way to \a quote. So what I want to do now, look what this regular expression is. I'm looking for every time in this CSV file there is an ahref link to something, and then there's something in between, and then it ends with the close tag for the ahref link. So I want to find all those. Why? Because this something, which I'm now going to put in capturing parentheses, I'm assuming knowledge of regular expressions here. I do have a whole set of tutorials about them. But what I'm looking for is I want to just save this. I don't want to have all that link stuff. I just want to save this particular part, the actual contents, which is like Twitter for iPhone, Twitter for web client, that type of thing. So I know I'm covering what I'm writing. I'm trying to get better at not doing that. So thank you for telling me that in the chat, though. So what I want to do now is replace all of this with $1, meaning I want to, for every match of this, I want to preserve that capturing parentheses as group 1, and I will replace that with just what was captured. In essence, deleting the ahref and the \a part. Okay, so here we go. I'm now going to hit replace all. And you can see I've cleaned the data a little bit. You can see it just says now Twitter web client, Twitter for iPhone, that type of thing. So I think that's going to make this processing example run now. Let's go see. Close. Getting close. Oh, I didn't do it in the Flotus account. That's why. So I did it in POTUS. Now I need to do it in Flotus. Replace all. Let's see if that fixes it. There we go. So you can see this is just a very, very basic example that is showing you frequency. And I'm making all sorts of horrifically poor graphic design decisions. I'm just trying to get something with the data. But visual design not being my strength, you guys will all create much more clever and beautiful things. So here you can see Flotus is blue, POTUS is yellow. You can see that Flotus used Twitter for iPhone 765 times, POTUS 194 times, Twitter web client 520 times. What all this is telling us really is that Flotus tweets a lot more than POTUS. So I should really normalize these by percentage of tweets. And then you can see TweetDeck. Flotus uses TweetDeck a lot, but not POTUS. Flotus also used Hootsuite at one point. So you can see POTUS is really just using iPhone and web and the iPhone and the web client, and sometimes the iPad. Flotus, no iPad tweets. So this is the kind of stuff that you can do with this particular data. I will also say Yining, who is an ITP researcher, if I go back to this particular if I go back to these examples, if I go into TwitterViz, Yining created these tweets by month, word cloud, and word counting, I think is maybe something different, was created by Tanya. But tweets by month and word cloud, these are examples that use D3. And I would say that if you're looking for a JavaScript framework to play around with data visualization, D3 is a really wonderful and amazing one. It's not one that I use that much or know particularly well. So what I'm going to do now that it is almost 4 o'clock is I'm going to, let's try to think, let's see if the Facebook data is there. So what I'm going to do, I think what would be interesting, actually, is to try to find, sorry, I lost track of my thoughts. What was I saying? Oh, Facebook data. Let's see if it's there. Downloads. Yep, Facebook data is there, and move that to the desktop. And I'm going to extract it, which should take quite a while, because it's 4 gigabytes. Oh, by the way, I keep this microphone wire. I have to put it in my pocket or something because I keep tripping over it. Okay. Boy, lots of questions. What kind of, how do I contact you about a research project I'm doing? Twitter's a good way. Send me a tweet at Schiffman. You can find my email on my website, but I'm a little inundated with email these days. I will get back to you eventually. What kind of Mac are you using? This is just a MacBook Pro from several years ago. Okay, so while this is extracting. So here's what I think I would like to do. I would like to make a simple example that shows you the most frequently used word by month. Something like that. So, I'm looking at a couple things. One is I want to demonstrate how to look at the data in terms of date. So if I was just doing a graph even by tweets by date and time. But I also want to look at parsing the data a little bit by doing something like word counting with it. So, and I think I'll do this in JavaScript so that it can be in the browser. So let's see if we can do that. Okay, so give me a second here to just check on a couple things. I'll give you some, oops. Okay, let's see here. Just trying to check something. Okay. Okay. Oops. Okay. So let's see here. So let's get organized. I'm going to do it with, so this example is an example that's in processing, which is great. And this is the circle packing kitten. Don't forget the beautiful circle packing kitten. I will publish this code later. I should have done this as a addendum or whatever to that video. And now what I want to do is what I want to do is I don't know, I'm using Sublime today because Adam was giving me some trouble with large files, but I'm going to go back to Adam because I'm so much more used to it. So let's close this. Let's make a new P5JS project. So let's see. This is my ridiculous thing that I do constantly to make a new P5JS project. Ooh. Yeah, sure. Because I think there was a new version of P5 recently. I'm going to grab this. And I'm going to call this Obama Tweets. And I'm going to open this in Atom. I think what happened is I'm a little bit bigger than I usually am, and so I've been covering up the code more. And I want to use the DOM library for sure. And I don't think I need the sound library. Sketch.js. And then I want these CSV files. Now the truth of the matter is it would probably be easier to work with these files as JSON files, and I could convert the CSV to a JSON file. Let's do that. I know that Craig, who is a researcher at ITP for tomorrow, is actually working on a quick Node or Python script that does this. But I'm just curious, if I Google CSV to JSON conversion, let's see what happens here. Select a file. Let's go to desktop, POTUS tweets, and convert. Look at that. Let's do this. So now, can I download this? I have to do Control A and copy. Okay, Control A. And so I'm going to call this POTUS.json. Paste. This looks good. Now let's go back to this tool and do a different file. And let's go to Flotus tweets, and say convert. Did that happen? Yep. Control A, Control C, and then make a new file. Call it flotus.json. Paste that in there, and hit save. Okay. Great. So now I have a P5 sketch, and I have two data files, flotus.json and POTUS.json. JSON. I don't know how to say that. So that's where I can load the data from. Great. So we're going to just add something to the web page like Obamathon word count by date example. And I think I'm ready now to do this as a coding challenge. And I need a server. Oops. And so what I'm going to do is say python-m simple HTTP server. And then I'm going to go to look at it in the browser. And I'm going to open up the console. Now, something I learned, thank you very much to Codevinsky and other people on the Patreon Slack channel, the patron Slack channel, I learned that you can actually turn off Chrome's caching. So sometimes this happens to you. If you're web programming and you make a change in your code and you go look at it in the browser and it hasn't changed, it's because the browser has actually cached an earlier version of your code. And this can drive you completely insane. But if I go to settings, and then I'm going to have to make this smaller here. If I go to settings and then look under network, disable cache while DevTools, and this says after that, while DevTools is open. So if I check this, this means as long as I have this console open while I'm developing and debugging, the browser cache will no longer be in effect. So this is really useful. OK. You can also do Shift-Control-R to force cache restore, which a bunch of people in the chat are suggesting. OK. OK, so I'm getting ready now to do a second coding challenge. OK. And I'm going to do what is the most frequently used word by month in a Twitter account, particular Twitter account. And again, I'm not suggesting that this particular idea holds merit on its own, but I believe by showing you how to do this, it will unlock possibilities for you to think of and make your own projects that might have a stronger, more compelling point of view, whether that's a political point of view or a design point of view or an aesthetic point of view, whatever your kind of, and also you might think about how could you do this with other Twitter accounts. OK, so yes, Yui asked, can you tell us when you are going to be live before going live? I will really try to do it. This is like one of the things I do absolutely the worst at, but I will try. Christian Wichman in the chat also mentions, I think I might tackle this with R. So certainly using a programming environment like R or something like D3 that's really geared towards data analysis are all really great things that you could, that I would also recommend using. OK, so here we go. So I am going to, I'm trying to decide what is my opening screen. Is it this? Or is it, this one looks more interesting. OK. Just say going live and wait 10 minutes. Yeah. OK. So by the way, if you subscribe to the channel and you click, there's like a alarm bell-like thing, you'll get like mobile notifications or email notifications or whatever it is you want when a new video or a live stream goes. So I encourage you to do that. Let's see. Let me just check one other thing here. OK. OK, so here we go. I don't know. I don't know how this is going to go, but let's see what happens. OK. Hello, welcome to a coding challenge. This coding challenge is a special edition coding challenge. I don't know, they're all the same really, but let me start my bell. OK, let's try again. It's not, what time is it? 4 o'clock. OK. Hold on a sec. Let's see. Sorry. OK. Hello, welcome to another coding challenge. In this coding challenge, I'm going to do a tutorial and look at how to work with the recently released social media data released by the White House. So the White House made an announcement today saying, hey, we are inviting artists, designers, researchers, scientists, people of anybody to work with and make projects around the social media data from the White House, from POTUS, from FLOTUS, over the last 8 years. So check this video's description. There'll be a link to the White House press release. And in that press release, there are links to download Twitter data for the POTUS account, the FLOTUS account, the White House account, as well as Facebook data and Vine data as well. So hopefully I'll do another coding challenge or some tutorials around working with some of the image or video data. So what I'm doing here is I just want to do a kind of drop-dead simple example of how to sort of like get access to the Twitter data and how you can start to look at it and manipulate it and like just present it back in a web page. I'm going to do kind of a simple example with no point of view, but I'm hoping this might inspire people to make projects that are critical in nature or political in nature or wacky in nature, whatever you can kind of like think of and be creative with this data. And also, you know, there are lots of other Twitter accounts out there, and I don't want to like, you know, there is this other incoming president who has a very active Twitter account, which only gives me a lot of like pain and anxiety. But that said, you know, you might think about what kinds of projects could you make out of this data set alongside of other data sets as well. So now, first of all, the data itself, if you go to the links and get it, you're going to get the data as a CSV file, meaning a spreadsheet, a comma-separated values file. What I've done for this video is I've converted it into a JSON file. So I have two, in the code that I'll link to, you'll see there are two data files, POTUS.json and FLOTUS.json. And these are JSON files that have all data for every single tweet from both of those accounts since those accounts started. So if I go here to POTUS.json, we can see this is the data for each, this is the, I cannot use my computer. Oh, go away, browser, or something. Really? Can we just scroll? Oh, there we go. I don't know what I've lost my mind. Edit that part out. Usually I like to don't edit the stuff out, but maybe that should really be edited out. Okay, if we go to the POTUS.json file, we'll see here it is a big array of tweet objects. Each object has an ID, a timestamp, source, meaning what was it tweeted with, Twitter for iPhone. So interesting to look at, the text, and some other metadata associated with that tweet. Now, this isn't the full metadata associated with a particular tweet. You don't see like how many times was that tweet liked or retweet or what are the replies to that tweet. These are things, however, that you could get access to by using the Twitter API because you have the ID for each tweet. So for any tweet ID, you can say, hey, how many likes did this tweet have, or give me all the replies to this particular tweet. So at some point, maybe I can make some other video tutorials about working with the Twitter API and that. But I'm just going to use this particular raw data. So the first thing that I need to do is figure out how do I even load this data into a program that I'm writing. And I'm going to do this in JavaScript, HTML and CSS for a web page, and I'm also using the P5.js JavaScript library. More about that in this video's description as well. Okay, so in P5, I'm going to go to my code, which is here. So P5.js is a framework that asks you to write a setup function and a draw function. The draw function is for an animation loop if I'm going to do something animated, which I don't know whether or not I'm going to do. So I'm going to leave that out for right now. And in the setup function, I'm going to add another function. I'm going to say function preload. I'm going to create a variable called POTUS tweets. And in preload, I'm going to say POTUS tweets equals load JSON POTUS.json. So what I want to do first is just say, hey, I want to load all the stuff that's in that JSON file into a variable. And in setup, I'm going to say console.log POTUS tweets. So let's make sure loading the data itself works. And other JavaScript frameworks or native JavaScript have other ways of loading JSON data from a file, but this is one way. Okay, so I'm going to go now here. I'm going to hit refresh, and we can see, great. Looks like it came in. It's a big array. We can see, like, if I scroll down, there's going to be a lot of, there's actually only 320 tweets. The nice thing about this particular data set from the POTUS account is that was a new account from just maybe a year or two ago. I don't know when the first, we'll see as we look at the data when the first tweet was, but it doesn't have that much data in it, so it makes it easy for us to kind of work with and play around with. So if I look at any particular tweet, we can see here is the information, the ID, the timestamp, and the text. I just met with CEOs of some of our biggest companies who are blah, blah, blah. Okay, so what do I want to do here? I think what I want to do is just sort of see, what I want to do is try to find the most frequently used word in a tweet for each month. So I need to figure out how to first at least parse the dates of the tweets. So the first thing that I want to do here is definitely have some sort of for loop. So I can say for loop I equals 0, I is less than POTUS tweets.length, I plus plus. You know what, I'm going to make this variable just called POTUS because I'm going to probably use it a bunch of times, and now it's a little bit shorter. And then what I could do is I could say something like, hey, let me create P POTUS index I dot tweet ID. And what that's going to do is POTUS tweets is not defined. Whoops, because I changed it to POTUS. We can see here, oh, nope. Let's see, what's wrong? Console.log POTUS.length. Oh, undefined. Look at this. So the JSON format is actually, let's look at that JSON file again. So this is the funny thing that happens. This drives me a little bit crazy. So I need to, so this is an actual array. The JSON file starts with just a square bracket, meaning it's an array, the way that I ended up formatting it. But you can see here, it's actually not that exactly. It's an object which contains a particular array. So I think actually something that I want to do here is just say I'm going to add a bracket around the whole thing. Oh, seriously, come on, go to the end. There's got to be an easier way to get to the end. Scrolling, rawhide. What's that from? What am I singing that for? Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Alka Design in the chat. I'm going to add another bracket down here, then go all the way to the top. Oh boy, the internet is going to really yell at me for the easiest way to get to the top and the bottom without doing this. But it's an exercise. Getting some scrolling exercise here. Press end on your keyboard. I don't know where that is. And then I'm going to say data. I'm going to say tweets and do that. So now we can see I just wanted to put that array in an object called tweets. Okay. Maybe that'll get edited out. Okay, so that, which is perhaps interesting to some of you. Now what I want to do is look at so I'm going to say var tweets equals POTUS.tweets. And so now I can look at tweets.length and create a paragraph for each tweet ID. And we can see, there we go. Here are all the IDs. I can look at each tweet's text. And here you can see here's the text of all the tweets. Now you can see this, by the way, makes much more sense. It's actually listed as an array. I should have noticed that earlier. So we have the data. So what can I do now? First, let's just see if I could count the number of tweets by month. Okay? So the first thing that I want to look at is the date timestamp. So if I look at this, if I look at each object, here's the timestamp. Whoops. Is this. So if I come back and say, let's look at the timestamps, we can see this, by the way, is the newest tweet in this data set is November 11th, and the oldest tweet is May 18th, 2015. I think 5 is May. I hope so. Okay, so now I have all the timestamps. So now what can I do with that? So one of the things that's interesting about JavaScript what I'm going to do is put this date. I keep writing data. Date. Console.log date. And so let's look at this for a second. Oops, tweets is not defined. So these are all, I'm putting them in the console. The reason why I'm doing that is I just want to grab one of them. And I'm going to kind of muck around and figure out how do I work with a string that's a date in JavaScript. So if I say date equals that, I now have that string in this particular variable. Now there is a JavaScript date object, and I believe we can make use of that to be able to manipulate this data in a more interesting, in a more profound way. Okay, so what I want to look at briefly is JavaScript date Mozilla. So this Google search should give me the documentation from the Mozilla documentation of the JavaScript date object. And actually I can see here there's a date.parse function, which is probably what I want. So, what I'm looking for, let's look at that date.parse. So date.parse parses a date string. And I can assume here, we can see that the way that Twitter formed the date string is going to be some kind of standard format that JavaScript will understand, right? There are different kinds of formats for how you can write a date, but parse takes a date string such as this and returns the number of milliseconds since January 1st, 1970. And the date, but do I want that, or do I want a date object? So I want the date object. So maybe that's not how. I'm looking for the chat. Somebody in the chat will tell me how to do this. Maybe I just say new date. Let's see what happens if I say where am I? Let's try some stuff. I've done this before. I just can't really seem to remember. New date. Oh, that's interesting. So that seemed to work. Date.get month. 4. Look at this. We're in good shape, right? 4. Now, isn't the month 5? Why did I get 4? So if I have this string, I can create a date object, and then I can call functions on that. 5, 4. But think about this. January is 0. February is 1. March is 2. Oh, this is so hard. April is 3. And May, 5, the 5th month, is 4. So index 4. So if we start counting from 0, we're going to get 4 instead of 5. So what I can do now in the code is I can say a date object is a new date with the timestamp. I can say the month is date.getMonth. The year is important too. Here, the year is date.getYear. So now I have both the month and the year for a particular tweet. And what I can do is I can say the key now is month plus, I'll just put a slash, plus year. Why am I doing this? Because if you've watched any of my videos about word counting, what I want to do is I need to associate a number, the number of tweets that month, with a key. And the unique identifier of a particular month is the month and the year, because I want to differentiate February 2016 from February 2015, for example. Okay, so now we're getting somewhere. I need an object, which is, I'm going to call it tweet counts. I'll just call it counts. And it's going to be an object. And what I want to do is I want to figure out if counts, and I'm going to say has own property key. So I want to know, does this object already have a property that's that month? If it does, increase its count. So what I'm doing is I'm counting every time a tweet has the same month and year. If it does not, I need to add that property. I need to add that property and give it a count of 1. So if now I console log counts here, and I run this program again, we can see here's my object. Now, interestingly enough, the years I'm getting 116 and 115. I'm not sure why that happened exactly, but you can see here there were 34 tweets in January 2016, 12 tweets in February, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, 9 tweets. So the month, with the most tweets it looks like is July, right? 6 would be July the 7th, 2014, 43. Now we could do some interesting analysis here to look at the specific dates or what was happening in the news then or why were there so many tweets. But you can see this is a pretty small data set. The good news is if you go and work with the White House data set, you'll get you'll find that there are like 15,000 tweets. So it's a much larger data set. Okay, get full year. Thank you. Somebody in the chat says that the function I'm actually looking for is get full year. So let's run that again, and we can see, there we go. So thank you. So that other function is doing something else slightly different. So we can see I'm now counting each by year. So now we could visualize this data. Let's visualize this data using Canvas and draw like a little bar graph or something like that. So one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say create canvas, which is a P5 function for making a canvas, 600 by 400. I'm going to say background 0. So now we can see here, we can see I have a canvas that I'm going to draw to. Other thing I can do is now what I want to do, Now, did I get lucky? So here's the thing. The order of the months is kind of important for what I'm doing, right? I want the oldest month to be first and the newest month to be last. So let's look at, one thing I can do here really quickly is I can say var months equals counts, or object.keys counts. So this is a way of me pulling out just all of the keys that are in that particular object and just putting them in an array. Let's look and see what order they're in. So the order is 10, 16. This looks like they're in sorted order, but in reverse. So one thing that I'll do here is I will just say, if I have an array, and I say array.reverse, that reverses the array's order. So I should be able to say now months.reverse. I could have sorted it, but I got lucky here. They're in the right order, just in reverse. So I'm going to reverse it. And now I can say for var I equals 0, I is less than months, dot length, I plus plus. And so now let's say I want to just draw a little bar graph. So the first thing is the width of the canvas is 600, and I want to draw a bunch of like rectangles or lines or something. So I need the width of each one of those should be the width of the canvas divided by how many months I actually have to draw. And then I can just say, let me draw, each rectangle is going to have some sort of height. Let's just say the height right now is 100. Each rectangle is going to be some color. Let's just say it's some shade of gray. And so if I draw a rectangle at I times W, right, the number of months times the width, comma, the bottom of the canvas, minus the height, right? So this is a little sort of tricky thing that this will be like a short edit point here. Does the camera come back on? Let me just erase this. Sorry, this can be edited out, Mathieu, from the version of this that eventually gets posted. Okay. So this, let's pretend I'm doing this now. Okay. Right, again, the for each. Oh, I said I was going to do a for each at some point. I'll do a for each at some point, but not in this video. I promise I'll get to it. Okay. So the thing that I'm trying to do here is I want a bar graph. So a bar graph involves a rectangle coming from the bottom. But the easiest way in P5 to define a rectangle is from this point here. So what I actually want to do is say the x location is the height of the window minus the height of that rectangle. That'll give me that point right there. So if I come back here and I say a height minus h, and then the width, and I'm going to say width minus 1 to have a little space, and then the actual height itself. Sketch line 32. Oh, float. I wrote float because, again, I'm used to programming in Java, but here it's just var. And you can see there are all of my bars. They're all the same height. If I made them a random height, we can see there's now a bar graph of bars, just drawn in Canvas. D3, for example, if I use that, would be able to do this probably for me automatically with SVGs and be so fancy, but this is one way of doing it in P5. So now, I want those bars to actually not just be random numbers, but I want them to tie to the actual number of tweets. So what I can do is I can say num equals counts index, the key, months, index I. So this is a little, that syntax is a little bit ugly looking and confusing to follow. So I'm just going to say month equals months index I. And then I want the count for that particular month. And H, I'm just going to say, is equal to that particular number. So we can see now here's my graph of tweets frequency by month. And then, there's not that many. So I could say, times 10. And we can say I expanded it up. Now, one thing I might want to do is actually normalize the data. So I might want to find the maximum value and the minimum value, and then normalize each bar so that the maximum is the tallest. Let's quickly add that here. Again, a library, a data library is going to do this kind of stuff for you automatically, but we could pretty quickly normalize this data ourselves. And what I want to do is, I'm trying to think, there's like all sorts of fancy ways we could probably do it, but I'm going to do it in a very simple way, which I'm going to say max tweets equals 0. So I'm going to start by assuming that the max tweets are 0. Then I'm going to look through here. I'm going to just look through all of the values in advance, the same way I'm doing here. But I'm going to say if num is greater than max tweets, whoops, then max tweets is that number. So what I'm doing is I'm doing a quick loop to say I assume the max tweets are 0. Anytime I find something bigger than that, that'll be the maximum number. So now I have the maximum amount of tweets. And now what I could do is I could say h equals map. I could use P5's mapping function, which takes the number of tweets, which has a range between 0 and max tweets, and map that range to between 0 and what? How about height? How about height divided by, well, let's not be too fancy about this. The window is 400 pixels high. I'm just going to say 300. So now, if we do this again, we can see that this particular month, which had the highest number of tweets, is at the top of our of our mapping. So this is now the bar graph of Obama's the POTUS account's tweets by month from the first month, which looks like it's May 2015 all the way to November 2016. Okay. Okay, so now we've gotten somewhere. We're doing a little bit of visualization. Things that if you were, after I publish this code, if you want to try to do your own stuff with this, you could have a mouse over, you could have a key to show the months. You could have another Twitter account. You could add the Flotus account to have the bars side by side. You could hover over it to see more information. I could put the number of the actual tweets. I could draw that onto the canvas as well. But all that aside, let's do a little bit of something else. Let's do some word counting to see if we can find the most frequently used word for each month as well. Okay, now, so this is something I'm going to need to deal with here. So in addition, I have key by month, but what should each one of those months have? Each month should actually have a dictionary of words and their counts. So we immediately have made this program so much more complex, right? The only thing we're associating with each month right now is a number, how many tweets. But now what I need to do is really I need to have an object, right? And in that object, I might start off with some stuff like the number of tweets, total is 1. And then I might have words, which is going to be another object. So for each month, right, and counts is kind of like the wrong word now, but I'll just leave it in there. I want to have an object that stores information about all the words that were used that month and the total number of tweets that month. And then here, this has to change to .total++, right? Because I'm increasing the total each time it's found it already. And then I am also here, what would have to change is .total and .total here. So I should have the same exact program right now. I missed something. Let's see, what did I miss? Let's look at, so let me make counts, by the way. What is a global variable? Let me look at it. This particular object. So for any given month, I see total in there. I see words, which is an empty object. So why am I not seeing anything drawn? Counts month dot total. That seems right. Maybe max tweets. Something went wrong here. Sorry, I put that in the wrong place. So I had said months index I dot total, which doesn't exist for the month. One of these weird, mysterious JavaScript problems. Here we go. So now I'm back to where I started, but I have an opportunity now to add more. So the thing that I need to do is also look at the text. So the text is the tweets index I dot text. So now I have the text of each tweet. The words, so to speak, are that text split, right? The split function takes a piece of text and chops it up into pieces, makes it into an array. And the thing that I tell it to split by, that's what the thing that's in between words. So the simplest thing I do is just split by space. Or I could say split by space or comma or period. I'm going to do something a little bit goofy, which is I'm going to say, and this is using a regular expression, so I have some video tutorials about that. Split by anything that is not a word character. So this means \W is a meta character that stands for any character that isn't a letter or a number. Use that to split. And the plus means it's okay if there's a bunch of those in a row. So if it's exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point, or comma, space, use those together to split. So if I even just look at this, console.log words, and run this program again, we can see here that you can see I now have all of these arrays of words. Spent the morning at Arlington, take time today to honor our fallen heroes, right? So this is just the list of words. Now you can see I'm getting some noise here, which is like it took a URL and like split it up. So I would have to have a more sophisticated parsing engine to make sure to ignore URLs or use them. But for us right now, that is fine. Okay, so now I can go back here and say, okay, well, what I need to do is have, pause. I'm going to take this moment to have a short break for a second, drink a little water. This part will get edited out, but Kraz writes in the chat, we're being split at the apostrophe. So that's a good point. I probably should like ignore the apostrophe, but again, that can be refined later. Okay, so let me come back to the video. Okay, so now what I need to do is count, right? This words object should have every single word and a count in it. Boy, this is like nested objects, so it's a lot to hold into our head here. I think I could do it. And you might, if you're having trouble following, like a pencil and paper diagramming this might help. Pause. Don't put me on a half speed because I sound like a drunk person, to be honest. But anyway, that's another story for another time. There's no story there. What am I talking about? Okay. So what was I saying? Right. So now what I need to do okay. So this should, I'm thinking here because I made this a hard problem. So this should happen first. I should, because I need to figure out if there's an object there already. Once that's done, I actually should be doing this afterwards. So once that's done, I can do this. And what I can do now is I can loop through, and I think I don't want to use I here, right? I'm already inside a loop with I, so I better make sure I use a different index for this particular loop. Look at every single word. Word equals words index j. Now what I want to do is something very similar, right? I actually want to now count the frequency of the words. So what I want to do is say, word, what I want to do is say if counts, right? Counts is the key, it counts key, counts for this particular month, dot words has own property, right? If this particular words object has that property already, oh boy, I made this really complicated, then counts index key dot words index word plus plus. So each word is going inside of that words object is going to be associated with a number. Otherwise, set its initial value to 1. Okay? So this is there's a lot of nesting going on here, and I think if we look at the object itself in the console, it'll actually help make this immediately clear, because it seems sort of crazy, but it's actually not that. But the nesting here is confusing, because there is an object called counts, and for each member of that object, for each property, each month property, there is an object that has a total and a words object. And that words object has a bunch of words and counts totals in that as well. And that's what I'm doing down here. Okay, so let's put back in, it's there already. So let's run this again. And we can see here is this, here is this object. So what I want to look at is, let's see if this worked. So let's look at a particular, what was the month that had the most? It was 0, 1, 2 or something. So let's look at, oh no, who knows? This was in reverse order. So this is not in order, whatever. Let's look at this. 27 tweets, and words is an object. And you can see here, blank was 33 times. So that's something I need to deal with, the fact that, oh look, there's some like extra noise. And you can see here's all the other words in alphabetical order. Act on climate was used 3 times. Ask POTUS twice. Big Benny FL, maybe for Florida, 3. So you can see here are all of the particular words and their counts. And you can see, again, we have a very small data set. Okay, so, but we can see this did in fact work. So what we need to do, we need to clean some stuff up a little bit, because this is definitely a problem that every single one is going to have a lot of blank in it. So let's look and see here. We can in the part where we are creating that table, we can say if, as long as word length is greater than 0, then do this. Okay, so I just want to quickly test to make sure there's an actual word there. And if I run this again, we should see, whoops, I don't have that blank anymore. And the other thing I should do is capitalization I should ignore, because if Twitter is used uppercase or lowercase, I should allow for that to count as the same thing. So one thing I'm going to do is going to say words index j2 lowercase. So that way everything is lowercase, and I can look at a given month, and we can see we've got a bit more data here. Can 5? Yes, I can. Yes, we can. Yes, we can make this coding example happen. Yeah. Okay, so now what do I need to do? I need to find what is the word that was used the most frequently each month. And actually, what would probably be more interesting, I have a video tutorial about something called TF-IDF, which is term frequency inverse document frequency. That might be interesting to apply here, because we'd say, what was the term used this particular month that was not used other months? Which would get, I have a feeling we're going to get things like the. But we could kind of, ignore, we could have a set of words that we ignore, that type of thing. But let's at least see what we get. Okay, so now what do I want to do? So here, as I'm doing the drawing, I can say var words equals counts month dot words. Okay? So I have now this array, I have now these words. One way it would be to just sort it, right? Sort it by count. This actually wouldn't be such a bad way to do. So I'm going to get, I'm going to call this word counts. And I'm going to say words equals object dot keys dot, I can't remember, what did I use before? Object dot keys word counts. Because now, you know what I'm just going to do? This is silly. I could sort it, but I'm just going to do something just to find the biggest one. And I'm going to say biggest equals 0. And I'm going to say var biggest word is empty string. And now I'm going to go through and look at words.length, j++, and I'm going to say if word counts index word is greater than biggest, then biggest equals that new count, and the biggest word, biggest is totally the wrong phrase here, bigly, I don't know, that's worse for a lot of reasons, is that. And now what I could do is I'm just going to say console.log month and, whoops, month and biggest word and biggest. So let's just look at that data in the console. And we can see, something went wrong here. So I got the month, empty string, and so if word counts word is greater than biggest. So what did I do wrong here? Var word equals words index j. So I need to actually pull that word. This is not my finest video I've ever made. I need to pull that word from the array to look it up. And we can see here, right? The, to, the, we, to, the, to, the. So let's do something. Let's have an object of words to ignore. And I'm going to say var ignore the to the we the to our. You can get, by the way, lists of like most common words and that type of thing. So I just made a quick object called ignore. And what I'm going to do here is say if word counts is greater than biggest and it's not a ignore word. So I want to just checking like it's only can be something we count as long as it's not in that ignore list. So let's do this now and see what we get. So let's look at ignore. It's this object ignore index the. Let's put something here that'll evaluate to true. Empty string evaluates to false. I'm trying to figure out a way to just have this be like a lookup table. Obviously, we could be more thoughtful about this. And now we can see, okay, so now we're getting somewhere. ITT. So unfortunately, there's so much mess here. This video is all about why you need to like clean your data and be more thoughtful about these kind of things. So first of all, we're getting some junk here. So first of all, we can get rid of and a. We can add those to our ignore list. Of and a. I'm also going to do something here which is kind of ridiculous and say and word.length is greater than 1. So I'm not going to allow it to be any words that are of like, actually, you know what? Nope. How about nothing that's a 3-letter word. And we definitely want to ignore HTTP and HTTPS. I could have done a better job of parsing the data. And look at this. Now we've got something. Will more today have with refugees what, this, that. So, we could actually just sort of make this almost more interesting we could see some other words that we might ignore, like this, that, what, whatever. So we can see here I'm actually starting to get, and with a bigger data set, I should really quickly switch this to using the FLOTUS account or the White House. We'll switch this to the White House account in a moment because we'll have so much more data to work with. But we're getting somewhere. Let's at least draw this data to the window, to the canvas. So what I'm going to do now is also say fill 255, and I'm going to say text, biggest word, and where do I want to write that? I times W, comma, H minus like 5. Height minus H. So I'm just trying to find an XY position that's at the top of the rectangle that I just drew. So it's the same X value, and then the Y value is at the top of the rectangle. And if we do this, we could see here, now we have the number of tweets. And again, this graph is like misleading in so many ways. I'm not being thoughtful about the design here at all. And I could center but you can see I have the most frequently used word along with the graph of the number of tweets. So we've kind of gotten somewhere here with this example. You can see what it takes to load a data file, parse the data file, count various things in the data file, try to store the data in various ways. Let's at least try running this with a different data set. So I have, let's use the float, I think it's already here. So one thing I need to do is I need to adjust the floatus data set to have this at the beginning as well. Oh, and Adam is going to crash on me. Whoops. Okay, and then I need to add to the end. Where is the end button on a Mac? Or there must be in Atom some like key command to go to the end of a document. It's totally crazy what I'm doing. I thought page down would be faster than my scrolling, but apparently not. Come on, get to the end. Is anybody still watching this video, which is probably like an hour long at this point? Oh, look. Oh, you know what I can do? If I see this little thing, I can drag it to the bottom. Amazing. Technology is amazing, isn't it? Oh my goodness. Now I've frozen Atom because of this huge 48,000 line file. Let's close it, let's save it and close it as quick as I can. Okay, did I get it? Okay, great. Now let's change this to floatus.json and let's run this. There we go. So we can see there's so much more data. So the tweets go back much less, and you can see this particular month, which has the highest, was, I don't know what this initiative is, but that's probably a hashtag that got parsed out. So just counting hashtags could have been interesting, actually. Hashtag 62 million girls. So I feel almost embarrassed that I don't know what that refers to, but I'm definitely going to look it up afterwards. So you can see here that the basic idea is working. And we've done in a coding challenge, we've taken some of this White House data, we've loaded it into P5, we've drawn some stuff in the window, but what's really missing here are two things. Thoughtful design, thoughtful approach to looking at the data and cleaning the data, as well as having some sort of point of view or question that we're asking about the data. And I hope that seeing how to work with the data in a very kind of rough and rudimentary way gives you an inkling or some ideas. So if you work with this data, if you make stuff, please share it with me. I hope you enjoyed this particular coding challenge, and I hope that I see you in future ones. Okay, goodbye, and I'll see you soon. 62, so I have to look up what 62 million girls is now. Support of Let's Girls Learn. So it looks like it's an education initiative. Which it looks like a wonderful thing to support. Okay. That was 4 things not to. Command Shift down arrow would highlight and select. All right, so I hope that was useful somewhat. I need to, so this example will get, I think I'm going to be, it's almost 5. So I did 2 things today, which is the circle packing coding challenge and this one. I'm going to check the Slack chat. I somehow was missing it. Oh yeah, it's splitting off single letters from apostrophes. Yeah, I should have checked this. So I guess what I'm trying to figure out here is if there's anything that I can do that would be useful that wouldn't take too long as I need to. This has now been a 2 hour and 45-minute live stream. Wow. So what, Obama circle packing. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do a portrait, a circle packing portrait of Obama, which isn't really using the data, but it connects to this. So, although, you know, I mean, I really like Obama. Kittens. I mean, come on. Who doesn't love a good kitten? Rainbows, unicorns, and kittens. Oh my. Okay. I'm out of practice. My live streams are going to get better starting next week. So let's go back to this one. Let's look at that. I wanted to do a photo mosaic. Would it be really crazy to do that? Let's look at the Facebook. Let's look at the Facebook stuff. Where is it? Okay. All right. So this Facebook data is huge because it's all in different folders. It's going to drive me crazy. Static. So I'm looking for a good photo. So what could I do? One thing that would be interesting would be to how big is this directory really? 280 megabytes. That's not crazy. Max circle radius packing. Alka Design says it would be fun to change the circle packing into a max circle radius packing. I don't know if I know what that is. I'm Googling it. I'm trying to understand how that would be different than what I did already. That's a nice one. See, there's all sorts of interesting variations on this and more clever ways and thoughtful ways of doing this. You fit the biggest circle into the available area. I see what you mean. That's kind of what I did because they're like growing and they're trying to fill up the amount of space, but it's not that. Instead of random circles. I see what you mean. Yeah. Okay, rectangle packing. Okay. I don't have the mental fortitude for 2 hours and 45 minutes to like do something like really complicated and new, even though I'm saying I'm going to do a photo mosaic. But it would just be great to load all of those images, look through all the pixels. Let's do it. I have an idea. Okay. We're going to do this. Okay. What I need is a good portrait of Obama, first of all. So this is like the standard White House portrait. Okay. So what I'm going to do is desktop. Okay, we're going to do this in processing. And I'm going to open. What I want is just the directory with all the photos. I hate that there's in subdirectories. What would be a really quick way to take a bunch of folders all with images in it and just have all the images live in one folder? Anybody has an idea for that? Tell me in either the Slack or the... Yeah, I think the chances that Obama watching this are like 1/1,000,000%. There's a chance. But very low, very low. I would also probably pee my pants if that happened. Okay. I could do it via the command line. I know, but like pipes and command lines, but I don't have that at my fingertips. So I need like the one find name JPEG exec copy. Ooh. Oh, whoa. Douglas gave me a good one, but the chat has already scrolled too fast. Okay, let me try it. Let's work on this. Let's go to, so what I want is photos. But see, they're also in album static. So what I want is, I'm copying that just to the desktop, photos. Find name. Okay, this is great. Okay, nobody chat for a second. find dot dash name star dot JPEG. CD photos. Oops. CD desktop CD photos. That's all right. I can get it here. Okay. So find dot, I can't see it. Dash name star dot JPEG. Are they all JPEGs? Pretty sure they are. Even if it misses a few, that's fine. Okay. Oh, whoops. Hi, Obama. Dot dash exec. Oh, so now I'm gonna. So I get what this is doing. This is saying find everywhere anything that has the name that matches. That's a regular expression. Star wildcard dot JPEG, and then when you find it, execute copy whatever you found to dot slash. So that should just copy it to the local directory. All right, let's try it. You need to do sudo. Stop the chat. Okay, let's see if this works. Is it doing it? It's not giving me any feedback. Oh, it's certainly doing it. Look, it did it. Because look, now let me delete all these albums. The question is, yeah, 280 megabytes still. So great. Ah, amazing. Thank you, internet chat. You are amazing. Okay, so that worked. Okay. So now what I need to do is get set up for this. I need to desktop, processing. Hold on, sorry. Oh. Cancel. Close. Okay, so I have a new sketch. And I'm going to say Obama Mosaic. And save. Thank you, Douglas. A shout out to Douglas. And now I just need to have a data folder and put all the photos in there. And we are good to go. We are ready. Oh, no. One more thing. I need the main picture, which is this one, obama.jpg, to go in. Sorry, I'm thinking to go into here as well. And there's a funny thing. Photo Mosaic is like, I think somebody like trademarked or patented it. So there's a little like iffy, but to me, like that seems like such nonsense to me, especially because the one I'm gonna do, I'm sure is like terrible. It's gonna be terrible, but in terms of the algorithm that I'm gonna use. But so this doesn't need to be so big. Let's make this 800, 600 by, so that's fine. Save, and okay. So what I'm going to do is, once again, I'm going to do, I don't need this. We're going to go back to here. And I'm going to do another coding challenge. I can't believe this is not going to be short, but we'll just see how this goes. We'll see how this goes. Okay. Okay, so I'm sorry. I don't. Okay, so here we go. Let's see if I can make this happen. Yep, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Damien Reloaded in the chat. Except I'm just going to do it by brightness because I'm going to see if I'm not going to do it by color. It's too complicated. Okay, here we go. It's 5 o'clock. This is hopefully going to take half an hour, which means it's going to take 3 hours. And here we go. Let me just, in case I need the whiteboard, let me get that ready. I need a minute. Okay, here we go. By the way, I noticed somebody in the chat posted about the This Dot song. There are 2 This Dot songs, one by F. Looper, and then there's also one by Christian Peterson. So there's 2 on SoundCloud if you look for them. Okay. Hello, welcome to another coding challenge. This is another coding challenge that I'm going to do about President Barack Obama, who is still, during the time of this recording of this video, the active current president of the United States. Okay, so what am I going to do in this one? So part of the data set that was released was every single photo. So first of all, that I mentioned in a previous coding challenge, the White House recently released all of their social media data from the last 8 years and invited artists and researchers and people to remix it and make projects using that data. So one of the things I'm going to do here is just look at working with the image data. The Facebook download, which is 4.5 gigabytes, has tons of videos, but it also has a giant folder of images. So I have that here in this particular sketch folder. In the data folder, I have a single image, which is just the White House official portrait of Obama, and then I have every single Facebook photo. So I can scroll through these and see all of them. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to attempt to make a photo mosaic of this Obama portrait and with all of these images from Facebook. So there's probably, I'm going to do it in the most drop-dead simple way possible, and then I'm sure there's a zillion ways that this could be refined and made more sophisticated or more interesting. Ugh. But I'm gonna, and you, the internet, will hopefully do that. When I post the code, by the way, I'm not going to post the photo data set, but I will include like a README file or something to a link to that photo data set, because I don't want to post some 300 meg file to GitHub that you have to download. Okay, so let's go into processing, and let's just do a couple things first. So I'm using, for this coding challenge, I can minimize the browser and all this other stuff. I'm using a programming environment called processing. Go to processing.org. It's Java-based, and it has a lot of libraries for drawing and images and all sorts of stuff like that. So I'm going to make a variable called Obama, and I'm going to say load image. Was it obama.jpg? And then I'm just going to say image Obama 00. So let's just see. There we go. I need to actually make a size of the canvas, which is like, so let's see, what is the size of that image? It is, if I look at it, 600 by 749. So let's make the canvas 600, 749, and do this. We can see, there we go. So this is just, first of all, I have a processing sketch that loads this image file and displays it. So the first thing that I need to do to make this photo mosaic is figure out a way that I'm going to pixelate this image. And there's lots of ways I could do that. I'm going to do it in a pretty simple way. I'm going to sample it down. So I'm going to make the image smaller by a factor of something. So I'm going to say, let's have a variable called scale factor. and that's such a long variable name. It makes me so sad. I'll come up with something better later. Let's make that scale factor 8, for lack of a better idea right now. And then what I want to do is I need a new width, which is Obama.width divided by scale factor. And I need a new height, which is Obama.width divided by height divided by scale factor. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the copy function. I'm going to make a variable called smaller, and I'm going to say smaller equals create image with. Sorry, I'm like really thinking hard here. Create an image with that width and height. That's an RGB image, and then I want to copy from Obama the entire image to this image's width and height. So I'm using the processing copy function. So I'm using processing to scale the image down. I could skip pixels or I could manually scale it, but this is going to be simple. And now I'm just going to say image smaller 0, 0. So let's see if that worked. And you can see that worked. Now I have that smaller image here. I just copied the image to make it smaller. Because the reason why I'm doing that is now what I want to do is I actually want to read the pixels. So I'm going to say smaller.load pixels. I guess making this photo mosaic is something I only need to do once, so I'm going to add no loop at the end of draw. There's no need to loop over and over again. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to say for every x, I kind of want that w and h just to be a global variable, because that way I can use it over and over again without having to say x less than width, x plus plus, y equals 0, y is less than h, y plus plus. And now, and you know what, this scale factor, let's just call this like factor. I don't know, scale, SCL for scale. And then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, what is the pixel? The color is smaller dot pixels, and I need that pixel, I need the spot of, so the pixels is a one-dimensional array, but I'm thinking of the x and y of all the pixels. So what I need to do is look for that index, which is x plus y times w. I'll link to some other videos about image processing that I have that go over this particular algorithm more specifically. But now I'm looking, this is an algorithm for looking at every single pixel in the image. Every x, y location, look at the particular color. And I'm going to say fill C, and I'm going to just draw a rectangle at x, y, and where do I draw those rectangles? X times scale, y times scale, and then that scale. So that scale is really the size of each one of these little squares. So now you can see I have this pixelated version of Obama where I've drawn a rectangle. And there's all these black lines, I guess, because I probably have a stroke. So if I had no stroke, we can see now I just have this pixelated version of Obama. So now what I need to do is instead of drawing a rectangle, I need to draw an image inside each one of those. And let's make the scale factor bigger. I'm using kind of round numbers. And you can see things aren't divisible by the right whatever, but that's fine, close enough. Let's say add background 0. So close enough, right? So we can see this is still giving us something here. We've got a pixelated version of Obama's portrait. Now what I need to do is really the hard part. So that was the easy part. The hard part now is I need to somehow load however many images there are. So let's see how many images there actually are. If I go here and I do Command I, we can see here that there are 3,934 images. So I think I can load all those images into memory, no problem. Let's see. The good news is they're mostly like small images. So one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create an array of all images. And the other thing I need to do is I need to now dynamically be able to look into that directory and say, give me all of the file names in that directory. And there happens to be an example on the processing website. I know that it's there. Actually, it's because I made it, and I just don't remember how to do it. So I'm going to go to processing examples. And I believe under advanced data, maybe. No, I know you can't see this. File IO, directory list. That must be it, right? So what I want is, this is an example which has some code. This is what I want. I want this function, which I give it a directory, and then it just makes an array of all of the file names and returns them back. So, so I'm just going to grab this code. Rather than write this from scratch in this coding challenge, I'm going to grab this code. I'm going to stick it at the bottom here. And what I'm going to say now is, I guess it's giving me file objects, not strings, but that's fine. List files, right? And then I want to give it a directory, which is data photos. Will this work? Print array files. So let's see what I get here. Hold on. Timeout. I'm having trouble with my processing IDE. This will get edited out. Why is this not doing what I want it to do? Why can't I not expand this console? It's like I've become completely, oh, hold on, everybody. Stupid doc is appearing. Everything's going nuts. Wait, shouldn't I get a little, there we go. Okay. Edit point back in. Okay. Okay, so let's see if we get this list of photos. No. Okay, what if I do sketch? Maybe it needs a full path. So if I wrap it in sketch path, which is a function that like figures out the full path of the directory. There we go. So we can see here it printed every single, all right, now there's some extra stuff in there. So for example, why did I get like some weird, so first of all, let's comment this out. Let's go to the directory. There, it looks like there is something extra in this directory. Oh, there's a folder called static. Oops, let's get rid of that. That was extra by accident. So, okay, sorry, that was a little mistake that has nothing to do with this video. So now I have all of those files. Now, print line files index 0. Let's just look at that. So it gave me that. So we can see actually like toString will actually just give me that file path. Now notice, by the way, that first file is .dsstore, which is like basically the most annoying file ever. It always messes stuff up. But Mac operating systems put these like files everywhere. .dsstore, .dsstore, .dsstore. Rah! Okay, but we're going to ignore that file. I think everything else, luckily it's in the 0 spot. So as a quick hack, I could just ignore it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say, first what I want to do is I'm going to say all images equals a new array with files.length -1, because I want to ignore that dsstore file. And then I'm going to say I equals 0, I is less than all images.length, I++. What I want to do is say string file name equals files index I+1, right? I just want to skip that first .dsstore file. I really should write some code to check to make sure it's a valid JPEG, but I think we're going to get away with this here. And then I'm going to say all images index I equals load image file name. So I'm going to have an array with a lot of images in it. Now this should probably take a while to run. So let's see what happens. Could not find, so there's also a file called index.htm in there by accident. So rather than write code, what's this image? Let's ignore this one. Some nice images here. Let's hope that that fixes it. Loading, loading, loading. Come, come, come. Come on. You can load all those images. You know what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to use a smaller subset of images. Let's just use 10 images right now, just to make sure this is actually working. 10 images. Okay, so that worked. Let's use 100. 100 takes a little bit longer, but we can see, okay, so I'm loading a lot of images. Okay, here we go. So now we have a lot of images loaded. So what do I need to do with those images? What I want to do, boy, this is tough. Okay, so what I want to do is for each one of these pixels that has this given brightness, I want to find the image of the so I'm not going to do this by color. I'm going to do this by brightness. So let's adjust the way this looks for a second. So we can see if it's still going to kind of have the right look. It's loading 100 images. Okay, so this is now the portrait. What I want to do is there are, technically speaking, there are only 256 brightness values. So what I want to do is in all those images, I want to find the particular image that matches a particular brightness value most closely. So the other thing I need to do is, and this is going to be very not sophisticated. I'm going to say brightness. What I need to do now, okay. Yeah, so what I'm going to do, brightness equals a new p image array with 256 images in it. Now the other thing I need to do is when I load each one of these images, I think what I'll do is make a corresponding array. Let's call this bright images and call this brightness. Let's just call this brightness. I want an array of brightness values. And truth be told, there's, but I got to figure this out as we go. So I have an array of all the images, and then I want to have an array of the brightness value for each one of those images. So after each one, I'm going to load pixels, and then I'm just going to look through all the pixels. This is going to make it take way longer, by the way. Pixels.length. So I need to look at every pixel, and I need average equals 0, and the brightness is this particular pixel's brightness. Woo. Right? So what am I doing now? For every image that I load, and I should sample them down. I really should sample them down because it'll make it run much faster, but let's just sort of see how this goes. Every single image that I load, I'm going to look at its pixels, I'm going to examine the pixels, and I'm going to add up all the brightness values, and then average is the sum of everything divided by the number of things, the length of the pixels. So now I have the average, and I can say brightness index I equals brightness index I, brightness index I, brightness index I equals average. Okay? So what I've done now is I'm just going to do 10. I'm going to run this, and I'm going to say print array brightness. Get rid of this. So let's look at this. Null pointer exception. So brightness is a new array with the same number of spots. And I should make like image objects. There's a lot of ways I could refactor this to make it make more sense, but this is pretty good. Okay, so we can see now those 10 images each have an average brightness as listed down here. So like the first one has an average brightness of 158, second one has an average brightness of 83. So actually, in a way, we're kind of done. What I'm going to do, I'm going to do this in a remarkably inefficient way. Yes, no. So hard, so hard. Do I have nested int I, somebody told me? No, I think it's okay. I used j here where I needed to. So I think it's very tricky and confusing, but I used I and j in the right way. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, let's do what I was thinking originally. I have kind of a better idea for later, but this is fine. What I'm going to do is now I'm going to say I need bright images. So I need to fill this bright images array. So what I need to do, and I said var here, it has to be int. OK, so I need to fill this bright images array. So what I need to do is find the image that's the closest in distance to a particular brightness value. So I'm going to say right now, closest, the record for being closest is 256, right? Because nothing, maximum being 255 minus 0, that's 255. So I'm going to now say I'm going to just use floats here. The difference is the absolute value of I minus brightness I. Right? In this case, the index is actually bright. I want to find for brightness 0, for brightness 1, for brightness 2. And not brightness I. I need to look at every single image. So I need to say, now I need to look at all of the images. And the difference is the current brightness, the absolute value, meaning the positive value of the current brightness that I'm searching for minus the brightness for a particular image. And if difference is less than that record, then record equals that difference, and bright images index I is then the all images index j. So take the corresponding image, so what I'm doing is saying there's 256 images I need. So should be j less than brightness.length. Yes, thank you, chat room. OK, so what I'm doing is I'm saying, here's all the brightness. I need to have an image for each brightness value. So I'm going to find the one in my all images that's closest to that value. And I'm going to duplicate some, and there's going to be lots of problems with this. But this should work. And to do that, I look for each brightness value. I look through all the brightness values of the other images, find the one with the smallest difference between the target, and then save that. So now, let's just run this and see that I don't get any errors. If I found, OK, so where am I missing? I've got like a bracket out of place. Another bracket here. OK. So oops, null pointer exception, because I forgot to create bright images is a new p image array with 256 spots in it. There we go. So I don't have an error yet. So now this is the moment of truth. What I need to do is, instead of drawing those rectangles filled with that brightness value, right? This is where I'm drawing the rectangle filled with that brightness value. What I want to do is say int index equals that brightness value. And then I'm not drawing a rectangle. I'm drawing an image. All images, bright images, right? This is the array that has all those images indexed by brightness. So draw the one corresponding to that brightness at x dash scale, y dash times scale, scale, scale. So I'm going to dynamically resize the image. And because I used index twice. Image index. OK, here we go. Look at this. Hey, not too shabby, right? So we can see here, and you can kind of look in and see the level of detail. I only had 10 images to pick from, so it's getting a very, it's not that detailed, but let's try again with, let's try 50 images. I don't know how long this is going to take, but we can see we've got a little bit better now. And let's try 100 images. Waiting. Getting better. 200 images. I'm just going to be doing this forever. OK, great. So now what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to let it do it with all of the images. but there's going to be an edit point in this video. Not for those of you who are watching this live. There's no edit point. So I'm just curious if it works. So this will be an edit point in the video. As always, I always forget the this dot, this dot, this dot, this dot. Yeah, I could use threads. I could blog to see like how many images it's loaded. There's so many things I could do. But instead, I'm going to look at my text messages.
This dot, this dot's on. This dot, this dot, this dot. Never forget this dot. This dot, this dot.
Yeah, it would really be nice to know. It's 3,000. About 3,000 images, right? And when I did 200, it took like 5 seconds, maybe. So what's 10 times 5 seconds? It's going to take a couple minutes. Yeah, remove the image from the array after choosing it. You definitely should do that.
This dot, this dot, this dot. I'm going to do this dot, this dot. I'm going to do this dot, this dot, this dot, this dot's on. This dot, this dot, this dot. Never forget this dot.
It's going to take forever. I might get an out of memory error. There's a quick way I can get, I should check my preferences. In processing, oh, I should have done this.
Song, never forget the this dot.
Out of memory error, okay.
That song for me.
But someone in the chat predicted the out of memory error before it happened. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase maximum available memory to 2 gigabytes. Hit save. I wonder if I do print line I, if it'll actually give me those print lines as it does them. I need to restart processing. When you change the memory, you've got to restart. It's not actually O(n) squared because it's not like the image is getting bigger. It's still like the image, it's just doing more of the same. If I doubled the size of each image that I'm analyzing, it would. Obama Mosaic, okay. Oh yeah, okay, we can see it down here. Now we can see progress. So at least now we have some reference point. Really? Come on. What did I get to? 13. So, I have an idea. I'm going to go back into the video tutorial. Okay. Okay, so I'm back and you don't see the image yet. So a problem arose. The problem arose, which is that I got an out of memory error. So the out of memory error, that's a problem. And it's telling me that what I could do is increase the memory setting in preferences, which I did do, and I still got an out of memory error. So loading 3,000 images into memory, is kind of an issue. But I have an idea here. If I go back, so rather than have to increase the memory, this will also make it run faster. If I go back to doing this with just 10 images, you'll notice something. What I'm actually displaying here is like a really, really tiny image. So when I load the images, this is going to make everything run so much faster. I might as well then copy that image, resize the image in processing, and sample it down. So that when I'm analyzing the pixels, I have like a much smaller amount, because I only need to draw a much smaller thing anyway. So I'm going to use that same technique where I'm actually going to do this. P-image file, p-image img equals, I'm going to load that image. Then I'm going to say all images equals create image. And the image that I want to create, I'm just going to make it like a little rectangle. So I'm going to make it, do I already have that size, right? Scale. So I'm going to make an image that's a tiny one, that's just 16 by 16, an RGB image. And then I'm going to say all images, index I, same exact thing I did with the Obama portrait to pixelate it. I'm going to say copy image and I'm going to use the full size of that image. Although actually, you know what I should do? I should really make it a square. I'm not going to add this to the code because it would be complicated to figure out, what's its aspect ratio. But that would be something good to do, to just like crop it. But I'll leave that for those of you who are so inclined to add that as an improvement to this. So this should be exactly the same thing, but run much faster. So you can see how boom it analyzes. So now let's do this with 100 pixels, 100 images, to make sure it's still working. There we go. Now, here we go. I am going to now edit this out again. I'm going to go back, and I'm going to put in all of the files. And here we go. Go. So we can see it's running a little bit faster. And I'm going to cycle the camera while I'm doing this. Well, how did I end up doing a 3.5-hour live stream today? This is totally nuts. Place your bets, everyone. Oh, I would play that one. Oh, rainbow, spinning rainbow. Ah, out of memory. No, I was so good to you. I have totally done this. You know what it might be? It's my crap computer. Hold on. No, this is such a nice computer. I just edit that out. I didn't even get to any more images than I got before. Hold on. Did I really update the memory? Yes. Increase maximum memory. What's 2048 times 2? I don't think Java will actually let you do that. It's weird to me that this is happening, because I've done stuff. Unload them. Make an image. Oh, make similar image of the resize 3000 images. I am still loading them all, but I'm flushing them from. They're not being stored in memory. That's the issue. Right? This is a temporary local variable, and it should be tossed by the garbage collector. Place your bets. Place your bets. Right? Oh, wait. No, that's right. Right? Because place your bets. We got a bet for 1310. We got a bet for 1819. 1309. Winner receives something from me. I don't know. 2620. Out of memory incoming. 2000. 200618. Spirit of the New Year. 2017. Here we go. Did we get past? We haven't gotten past where I was before. And also, I have this. Ooh, look at all that free memory. Tons of free memory left. I don't have to store the image in all images. Yeah. Here we go. We're past where we were before. Boy, this is going to take a while. Oh. Image is still in scope. Yeah, but, because I'm doing all this in setup? No, I went to draw. I don't know. Ooh, we're getting pretty far, everybody. Hi, Giannis. Yasu. Sounds like a Greek name. Ah! Out of memory. Okay, I give up. I'm going to work on, I got to 2027. Who won the bet? 2048. Make an array of images for every brightness, so it's only 255 big. Yeah, that's what I did. Oh, right, because I could just, I don't know. Let's just do it with 1,000. 1,000 images is perfectly nice. I mean, I got to 2,000. Let's shoot for 1,500. Because I got to go home. Back to lag said 2020. Back to lag was the closest. All right, tweet at me, at Schiffman. I'll try to think of something to send. Muffins. 2014. I'm never going to figure out who won this bet. I think you'll just have to enjoy the feeling, the happiness, the warmth inside your heart knowing you're the one who won this bet. It is true that these are such small images. Oh yeah, the system.gc thing is probably totally ridiculous that I did that. Well, it's too late now. I'm leaving that in there. I can make the brightness array by loading only one image at once. Yeah. Let's at least just get to 1,500. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay, now it is working on figuring out which images to use. It's got to read through 1,500 each time. Yeah. Everyone's really giving me great suggestions in the chat about what a horrible job I did with this. Oh, there it is. It just I didn't have it up. Okay. All right, everyone. Okay, so now I'm coming back. Okay, look, I did it. Actually, I didn't. I had to limit it to 1,500 images because I'm still having memory issues. I'm sure I could look at this more and figure out some ways to, load images as one way to do this actually would be to load and unload the images, but then only load them again when you need them. To rewrite all those, I could actually, what I probably should do is, I know what I should do. I should pre-process that whole folder of images and sample them all down. So I'm actually just loading the smaller images that I could actually do rather easily. But I'm not going to do any of that now because it's time for this video to end. You sort of see the basics of this. I want to give you some things to think about to improve on this. I'll release the code. I would love people I'll put this on GitHub and see what improvements you make. Number one is there a way you can cleverly match color, not just brightness? So think about how would you do that. It was pretty simple with brightness because there's only 256 possibilities, but the full range of RGB colors, that's much bigger. With brightness itself, something you might think about is, well, how could I have each image be unique? Or that array, instead of having one image for each brightness value, what if each brightness value has a selection of images, and every time I find it, I pick randomly? Or I can't use the same image twice for certain brightness values. So there's a lot of ways I think you can improve the sort of uniqueness of this. And then, of course, this is kind of nice, but if I zoom into it, we're really dealing with these very low resolution images. So I'm not really getting much out of it. But I think this would be more interesting visually as a massive, large scale print, right? So that you could step away and see it or go close and see the detail. So thinking about ways you might present that or represent that, whether it was a web browsing experience, could be interesting to think about. So I hope you enjoyed this Obama photo mosaic, and I hope you make some stuff with it, and I hope to see you again in a future video. Goodbye. Okay, everybody. That ends today's total insanity nonsense. What time is it? 5:38. Okay. Just let me do one more little tiny thing. I feel like we need that kittens. I did it already, but I feel like that kittens circle packing thing should be a video. So let's go back to circle packing animated text. And I'm going to do this will be like part 2, circle packing image. So let's do circle packing. I'm going to do this again. Circle packing image. I'm going to get the desktop. Kitten. Is there a better kitten image I could use? This one's pretty good. Yeah, we'll use this one. Why not? Okay. Okay, here we go. Obama circle packing. I think I'm done with Obama for today. All right. Oh, I'm almost like out of water here. I was kind of feeling guilty for not doing any live streams for a while. I've done one that's almost like 4 hours. I don't feel as guilty anymore. Okay. Here we go. I am going to do the kitten one. It's 11:40 in Norway. Here we go. Lower the scale. Oh, yeah. Oh, Mr. Dropper. I wanted to do that, but it's too late. I've gone past that. You're going to have to get the code and do it yourself. That's such a good idea, though. Okay, here we go. Hello, welcome. I'm back. This is like sort of like a part 2 of my circle packing animated coding challenge thing because, you know, kittens, I guess. So what if we took that? I think it would be interesting to just look at the circle packing algorithm visualizing a generic image. So if you recall where I left it last is it's kind of circle packing around the letter formations here, and we're seeing 2017. But what if instead I were to load, and let's go to this kitten image, and let's look at what is the size of this kitten image. It's 800 by 800. So let's make the window 800 by 800. What if I were to load this kitten image? Well, if I run this, we get a lot of things broken because it's kitten.jpg. So if we run this, we can see, okay, well, I don't see the kitten. So one of the things I want to change here is instead of drawing the circle, seeding the circle's locations based on brightness values, I just want to like put circles everywhere and pull the color value from the kitten itself. So a couple things I should change is one is we don't have this idea of spots anymore. So I can get rid of this idea of a list of initial possible spots, although I'll discuss why that might be interesting to bring back in. And I just want the circle locations to go back to being a random width value and a random height value. And we don't need spots anymore. The big difference here, so there's this circle packing thing going on again. The big difference here is I want the circle to store a color. So I'm going to add a color variable to the circle object. And when I create the circle, I'm going to add another argument that I pass in for color. So when I create the circle, right now this will break because when I create a circle, now it's expecting not just an XY, but also a color value. So the color value, where do I get that from? Okay, well, I need to say, if it's a valid circle, I want to find the pixel of that image. So I can say, what did I call the image? I just called it image. Image.pixels index what? Index what? So if you recall, and I've gone over this in previous videos, but, oh, and you know what? I already talked about this in the previous video, so never mind. If you recall that the index, not the index, crap, I totally screwed this up. Let me go back for a second. I shouldn't do this kind of editing to make it fix it, but I'm just going to do it. I did it already. Okay. Sorry, Mathieu. Here we go. Okay. I get an error here because the circle is expecting now a color to be passed in. So what I need to do is I need to go and get from that image, I need to create a color value and then pass that in. So the question becomes, what pixel do I look up? Well, I want to look up the color for that x and y point. And the way that I do that is with this formula that I've used in countless image processing videos before, where I say the index is x plus y times the image's width. Now there's an issue here. X and y are floating point values. So this won't actually work. But it will work if I just quickly convert x and y into integers using this int function. And then I put that in here. And now this runs, and we see all these circles. But I need to use that color. So what I need to do here is come back and say, forget about a white circle. Let's fill based on that color. Let's say no stroke. And now if I run it, we can see here is my kitten made with circles. Okay, so you could do this with any image. You could do this with live video. It would be interesting. And this is just one possible way of doing it. You can also sort of think about, I don't remember where I last left this, the target number of circles I'm trying to create. I'm still trying to create 10. So let's look at this actually if it happens more slowly. And we're going to get more bigger circles because they have more time to kind of grow. And this leads me, I think, to an interesting point, which is where I'm putting the circles and the ultimate size of these circles is entirely, completely random. But you might think about what is a creative way you could analyze the image and place a lot of initial circles where there's detail in the image and place very few initial circles where there is no detail, little detail in the image, so that you grow larger circles and smaller circles for the points where you need to refine, to have refined color, and vice versa. So I think that is something that I would love to investigate. And you could probably think of like edge detection or other ways. What are some other creative ways that you can figure out where to seed the circles based on the quality and the properties of the image itself? And then if you do that with live video, what would happen there? So I hope you enjoyed this little addendum in a way. It's a second coding challenge, and that you make something with this. And I'll try to also remember to release JavaScript versions of these for those of you who want to try this stuff, run it in the browser. Okay, thanks for watching. All right. I feel good because it's like an extra video, and I'll make an extra $2.50 from having done that or something. Even though I did that twice. Change the image to Obama. Yes, I will happily do that for the live audience here. So let's go back to desktop, Obama Mosaic, Obama JPEG, put it in here. And that image was, does anybody remember what the size of that image was? It was 600, 749. Obama, and then let's try to do a lot of circles again per frame. And here is circle packing Obama. But you see what I mean? Like this was a very poor place to to have a large circle. So face detection or whatever. But it's kind of nice anyway. And it'll be different each time. But thinking about and analyzing the properties of the image itself, I think, would be a good thing to do. Okay, do I like muffins? I kind of not a big. I like muffins, but I'm not a big bread bakery. Kind of just like a fruit, vegetable, brown rice kind of guy. Okay, this has officially been a 3-hour and 45-minute live stream. It is my goal actually to do live streams more often that are shorter because I feel like that's better for me and everybody. But such is what happened today. The next time I do a live stream will be sometime next week. I may take next week or the week after off in order to set up this new recording studio, which will allow me to do more videos more in the future. Thank you to everyone for watching. All the nice comments online, the nice tweets I get. It's very much appreciated. The patrons really, in Patreon really, it's a wonderful community. I love hearing from the community in the Slack channel, and it's also just great to have that little extra kind of motivation and financial support for some of the expenses and things like that. So I really appreciate it. I'm going to leave now. I'm going to see Jerry Seinfeld tonight, by the way, at 9:30 at the Beacon Theater in New York. So he's much funnier than I am, that's for sure. See if he makes any programming jokes. And then tomorrow will be, so if anybody's interested, by the way, you can hit me up on Twitter or whatever, but follow this. If you want to kind of like remotely participate in our Obamathon thing, I'll just put the URL. This is the GitHub repository where I'll be putting some of these Obama-related examples and that sort of thing. Okay. Oh, do it with 100 circles, please. Okay, fine. There we go. So you can see I'm getting like a ton more detail by trying to do 100 circles per frame. That way you can see that the detail is more. Okay. So the videos will come at some point soon. I'm going to try to prioritize. Yeah. So the edited versions of these videos will happen in the next couple days or early next week sometime, probably. Okay. I got to go. I'm going to play it. I'm going to play you out with this song. Can I do the chat with 100 circles? Looking at the chat there. This song, I don't know what it is. I wish I did. If you go to some earlier video, somebody hopefully could find this. In earlier videos, I used this song, and I just played it from the SoundCloud page. It was one of the few.
As always, I always forget the this dot, this dot, this dot, this dot. I'm gonna do this dot, this dot.
Do people want to see the like really cringeworthy
This dot, this dot. I'm gonna do
trailer thing, the like trailer thing that has all the coding rainbow stuff blurred out because I can't use that anymore? By the way, I think I'm gonna have a new logo and name for the channel by next week. I don't know if it's as great as coding rainbow, but the design is great. But it's hard to have such a good name. Should I play that on the way out?
I'm gonna do this.
Okay, yes. All right, I'm going to play that, and I'm going to say goodbye. The GitHub is this. It's /ITPNYU/Obamathon. And you can tweet me at Schiffman tomorrow if you're interested in following along or you're doing something. Take a look at the issues, or we need more examples and stuff like that. Okay. Yeah, this one really, you can see like it's really filling in all the detail. But you can see the randomness of where these circles are is kind of nonsensical at this point. It would be really nice if there were like really big circles here, lots of little ones along the face, like a kind of big one here. Anyway, more P5JS, please. It will come. Okay, goodbye, everybody. I'm going to play you this ridiculous video one more time.